got frustrated watching how the health industry was treating her mother, kind of waiting for the worst case scenario to develop and then finally jumping in to carve up the body in an effort to save it. And she started asking a lot of questions about, like, why don't we go way upstream as doctors and actually try to deal with things that may be causing these cancers? Why don't we get into quality and healthy food and the problem that inflammation has on a person's body, and maybe chemicals and all the stuff that we're putting into our bodies are leading us down a disastrous road. So she wrote a book called Good Energy, which is really, pretty common sense stuff. Just get back to fresh food, lots of vegetables, get away from the processed stuff, get away from the overly chemicalized types of food, and then encourage the health industry to really emphasize being healthy upstream, so you're not jumping and waiting towards the last minute to carve up somebody's body in an effort to save it. So, LA Times headlines like, meet the LA holistic doctor and wellness influencer, makes you think that this is somebody that's, hawking pills and supplements and all that stuff. In reality, she was right there in the midst of training at the highest levels to become a surgeon, top of her class, Stanford, and just got frustrated with the process and wanted to look at medicine differently. Man, I'm intrigued to see what she'll do with the Surgeon General's perspective. Any thoughts on her?
Half and half. There are some things that she says that seem intriguing and very good. But there are some other things that, based on the lead from RFK Jr. and Mehmet Oz, that get a little questionable as far as how far on the anti-science is she willing to go. And that's what I'm worried about. Is she someone that approaches medicine from a scientific platform and background and then looks at other alternatives? Or is she someone more akin to RFK Jr., who eschews medical science and rejects long-held, proven medicine for mumbo-jumbo? There's some things, this is a little bit far afield, but there are some conversations recently with RFK Jr. where he seems to disagree with germ theory. That's freaking crazy. That's nuts. That would be like someone coming out and saying, I don't think that sex between a man and a woman creates a baby. I think we find them under the leaves of cabbages, and they're delivered by storks. That's how much lunacy is contained in some of the stuff that he was saying. So, he was rejecting long-held scientific proofs, and it's just shocking. So, if she thinks that we should prevent things like measles by drinking a whole bunch of cod liver oil or taking vitamins, then I got an issue. If she does follow the science protocols and then looks at other supplemental treatments that can be good, or takes a look at how the medical community at times doesn't want to treat things as she outlined until things get too dangerous, that too often in certain areas we do focus on not preventative medicine, but the idea of the emergency medicine, that now that it has gotten so bad, we are now going to deal with it rather than seeing the problems further up the road. And there seems like there's some platforms in her positions that lead me to believe that, yeah, she's got some of that. So this could be very, very good. But this also, if she gets too close to the RFK Jr. line of thinking, this could be very, 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 very bad. Yeah. So.
I'm intrigued by all this because I had a friend recently get diagnosed with cancer.
Yeah.
And was getting ready to go on this whole regiment of chemotherapy and surgeries and all that stuff, and decided to take a different route where she attacked it by going after her lifestyle. No more red meat, a lot more exercise, a lot of time outside, vitamin D, all that stuff. And it actually, she's cancer free.
Oh, that's great.
It's remarkable. And I'm not saying that that's the way you attack every cancer, but I think there are thinking about the system as a whole, what you're putting in your body, what you're doing with your life, sedentary, all that stuff, that needs to be part of the equation when you get into health. And I appreciate books like Good Energy that explore stuff like that. So, yeah, Dr. Casey Means is the new Surgeon General. And if you're interested in her perspective, her book's titled Good Energy. It all comes from her perspective, along with her brother, very smart guy, I think he's Yale educated, watching what their mother went through, trying to understand how medicine treated her mom and looked at her mom in the system itself, and then trying to go upstream to get a lot healthier, looking at what you put in your body, how you act, exercise, all that stuff, see if we can address some of these issues. So Good Energy is the book, and Dr. Casey Means, your new Surgeon General. They wear the little outfits, don't they? Don't the Surgeon Generals wear a uniform?
I think, well, like what kind of uniform? Are you talking about the lab coat? I think.
No, I thought they wore a little uniform that looks like.
I don't know.
Huh?
I'm not familiar with it, but they could.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's like a little military uniform.
Oh.
Yeah, Surgeon General.
Okay.
Yeah, if you look at it's modeled after uniforms of the United States Navy and the United States Coast Guard.
I don't know. Yeah.
That's kind of Surgeon General wears a little military uniform.
Weird. That's just.
Doesn't it kind of seem a little weird?
It's very strange. It's weird.
I guess it gives them more
cosplay.
authority when they're talking.
No,
about
it doesn't. It just
cigarettes. My first
costume.
interaction with the Surgeon General was around cigarettes with Clinton.
Oh, really? Okay.
Remember when she came at Surgeon General's warning?
Oh, yeah. There were lots of those beforehand. Yeah, and that's worked out so well. And we'll have to see. Again, I will withhold judgment on this one. That I think she's got some good ideas and there's some questionable ideas. So which direction are we going to go? Where is she going to embrace it? Is she soon going to be talking about possibly some preventative treatments or things that we can do? Is she going to, to change our lifestyles? Is she going to have this be affected inside of the insurance game? How is that going to change? Or is she just going to send us to Gwyneth Paltrow's website for weird scented candles, and we have to insert things in orifices of our body to make ourselves feel better?
Yeah,
that's what I want to know.
From what I've read, it's the former, not the latter.
We'll have to see. I'm reserving judgment. We'll have to see.
Well, an area where you don't have to reserve judgment because we've seen it up close and personal are the good people at L&L Heating and Air Conditioning. You got to love Colorado. It's going to be 80 on Saturday or Sunday. Meanwhile, yesterday was like in the 40s. So your air conditioning furnace has got to be able to cover that wide range of shifting back and forth. We had L&L Heating and Air Conditioning installed in our house just a few weeks ago, and we are loving it. So listen to this. 1-day installation, no stress, personal service from start to finish, and they even followed up to make sure everything was perfect. These guys didn't show up in like some rink-a-dink white dented van to try to throw our new furnace together. It was professional from the very beginning, and they all got it done in 1 day. And with L&L Heating and Air Conditioning, they can give you peace of mind, a home that's finally comfortable no matter what weather you're facing. Listen to some of these deals here. Free programmable thermostat or carbon monoxide detector with new furnace or air conditioner installation. No emergency charges. They're not going to jack up the prices to come out there and give you a hand. $0 trip fee. Price match value guarantee on equipment. Free estimates. Licensed and insured, and a 5-year labor warranty. Everything works great, and our family couldn't be happier. So if you're looking for fast, honest, reliable service, I highly recommend L&L Heating and Air Conditioning, 720-851-1691. Online at bestdenverhvac.com. That is really the best URL for them. Describes them perfectly. bestdenverhvac.com. I'm sure glad we called them. That number again, 720-851-1691. All right, we got some phone calls coming in about the new Surgeon General, Dr. Casey Means. We'll get to those and more. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. We're talking Donald Trump's pick for Surgeon General. Dr. Casey Means, very impressed with this lady. Top of her class in Stanford, on track to be in the whole surgery world of medicine. Her mother goes through very terrible cancer diagnosis. She watches how the medical establishment treats her mother. Starts asking questions about why medicine doesn't go further upstream. Why is it always last minute, major surgeries to try to fix everything? Why aren't doctors asking about your food intake, your exercise, all that stuff, really pushing to get the formula right, to live a healthy life? And then, of course, the LA Times running out there with headlines like LA holistic doctor and wellness influencer. Yeah. She's pretty smart. She's at the top of her game. She's just asking, why don't we do things differently?
Yeah, but looking at some of her social media, I question again. Looks like she's deeper into the RFK Jr. anti-vax camp than I initially felt based on what I was seeing. So during the break, looked at some of her social media. I got some serious problems with some of the things that she's been floating, especially leaning into like JB Handley's stuff. And she's giving him a lot of praise. Got a big problem with that because Handley derives a conclusion about autism that is not backed scientifically. Yet he makes a whole bunch of claims and assertions about autism based on something that is not yet proven to be scientifically valid. But we'll see. RFK Jr. says he'll prove it valid by September. So let's see what happens.
I mean, she's raised concerns about particular ones, like the hepatitis B vaccine at birth. If both parents don't have hepatitis B, the idea of just pushing the stuff. Why is that stuff necessary? So I don't know. That's the type of questions I think should be asked by the Surgeon General.
She's giving nods to JB Handley.
I've never understood why.
Denier,
like you end up in this world with some folks that you have to accept everything that's come down, like the latest medicine, as gospel. And if you try to question it, well, then you're this some sort of nut. I mean, it's
well, it depends on how you question it. That's the issue. That's the crazy part.
In this case, like with
it depends
with hepatitis B. She wrote, the idea of giving a newborn the hepatitis B vaccine followed by 2 additional doses if the baby's born to parents without hepatitis B, should give Americans pause and question the healthcare system mandates.
Depends on the exposure. And the idea being that...
that's exactly what she's saying.
Yeah, I know. But what I'm saying is, to parents. But what about the kid going into a daycare or childcare setting? There's exposure. And the idea is that we don't give families more than a few weeks at home to spend with that newborn. That newborn, more times than not, within weeks of being born, is going to be sent into a childcare situation. And that's the exposure. Because you've seen those things, and the childcare situation are kids of multiple ages, not just around newborns. And that's the exposure. Multiple kids coming in, and depending on how many they are and what the situation is, there's your exposure. That's the issue. She can have questions about why early on you do it, but the idea that not doing it, okay, but there's exposure. We're seeing people question the efficacy of the measles vaccine. That's not turning out so well. Not doing so well at all. So there are some problems there contained therein. When what I'm worried about is that the doctor is assuming that the vaccine forms the causal relationship. That's what JB Handley has done. He has falsely assumed a causal relationship between vaccines and autism, and she seems to buy into what he's saying. That worries me because it means that she is rejecting science, and that's a problem that I have. We can talk about efficacies, and we can talk about, and there are questions all the time about new scientific treatments, and that's why certain things are tested.
Has she specifically done that on autism?
She has supported, she's talked about JB.
Neither the LA Times nor the New York Times are talking about that.
Here's the thing is, she lifts up JB Handley and talks about his great work about vaccine safety. JB Handley's work is vaccines cause autism. That's where I'm worried.
Well, the critique I'm saying on vaccines is the schedule. She thinks it's influenced by
she thinks the FDA,
she
thinks the FDA is corrupt. Yeah, she thinks the FDA is corrupt. Right. Yeah. So again, we can look into that. But when she's lifting up people like Handley, I've got serious questions because she's bringing people into the tent that are drawing conclusions that are not based on factual reality.
Don't you think you're drawing conclusions about her? I mean, she hasn't said that she's autism.
What I said is I'm worried that she's bringing him under the tent. The fact that she's listening to him and taking him into account and holding him up as an example is a problem for me. The idea that she's like, that's interesting. The idea that she's concerned about the schedule, okay, I can get behind that. But if she's going to look at the schedule based on some factual basis in science, sure. But in my opinion, what Handley's doing is not necessarily based in science and fact. And so that's where I've got the worrisome part of it. I'm not discounting her as a whole. I'm saying I have serious questions about this portion of where she's going and where she's getting information, because it leads me to believe that she is willing to look at what science says and say, I'm going to do something else. That worries me.
Well, let's go to the phone lines. Johnny, Denver. Good morning, Johnny. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Yeah, I was just both you guys to read like the Rockefeller and how he started this medical thing, where he was using offshoots of oil, and when he got rich enough, he started donating to a lot of these hospitals and then pushing out the herbal guys, because if you wanted his money, you needed to do it his way. And instead of the schools being 5 years, he said, well, maybe they should be 7 years. So it was based on his money, and then he put even these old products into the pills, make the pills. And then it was another German guy that he knew how to make his family knew how to make different colors. So that's how we got all these different colors of pills as well. Once again, it's chemicals. I had one personal thing that I did where I had gout, and I went to a doctor, and he says, here's some pills. You have to take this for the rest of your life. And I said, maybe not. And I started checking into what I was eating. It turns out that I'm lactose intolerant. A lot of African Americans are. And I just started looking at, why are we as people drinking, eating the milk of another species? We're the only one that does that. And when I changed and got rid of the milk products, my gout went away, and those pills that the doctor said I would have to take for the rest of my life, it was no longer an issue. So something as simple as that. But of course, people say, no, you have to have milk to build up your bones. But it's a milk of a cow. So how many people are going to cows and getting underneath them and sucking up their milk and saying, I need that. I don't need the milk of my mother, but I need the milk of a cow.
Johnny, I'm intrigued. And by the way, we're talking about Dr. Casey Means being approved as a Surgeon General. Like, you look at the description of her book, which I've read a good portion of, titled Good Energy, as a, quote, alternative medicine book. Okay? Like, that's the way. And then LA Times describing her as an alternative doctor. Her book's about healthy eating.
Yeah.
So the whole question about, well, just trying to get upstream of the problems, like, you don't go to the doctor until you have a problem. You don't, and then it's surgeons, and once you have cancer, it's chemo, it's all that stuff. And meanwhile, anybody that's trying to go out there and say, well, let's look at the whole system, is labeled a, quote, alternative holistic doctor.
I got a question for both of you.
It's kind of funny to me.
I got a question for both of you. During your conversations with your personal physician, have they talked to you about making healthy choices on both food and exercise and lowering stress?
Never.
Not really.
Never.
Really?
Never. And then when I bring it up to them, they talk to me like you would, Bill, will say, it's the science.
Really? They've never talked to it. And that's weird, because for 25 years of my life, my personal physician and also the pediatrician that has treated my kids, both of them have discussed routinely healthy choices. Are you making healthy choices based on food? Are you making healthy choices based on this? I mean, my doctor always talks to me about how much sleep are you getting? What's your caffeine intake? On an average day, how many calories are you consuming? What are you doing as far as this? What's the average alcohol intake? Are you a smoker? What do you do as far as exercise? How much basic exercise do you get? How much aerobic exercise do you get? All of that has been asked of me by my personal physician for more than 2 decades. And that's weird. I'm just saying it's weird that you two have a different experience. And so this could be more to do with personal doctors than necessarily an industry. Because my doctor's asking me about that stuff.
Bro, look at what Fox has on right now.
Yeah,
it's a pill.
Yeah. But
I mean, everything, the critique that's coming from Dr. Casey Means and others is that the system is set up to generate money. And you get a lot of money when you get these pharmaceutical pills, right? And it's last resort, take a pill, hope everything works out. And what she's trying to do is get the entire system to look further upstream as opposed to all these pharmaceuticals.
But what I'm saying is that and this is somewhat anecdotal, but in my experience in a doctor setting, this is someone that's a group practice in both pediatricians and my regular doctor, my personal doctor, I have seen that. There are some medications that she is trying to get me off of. We think that I'm close to getting off of one of them because of some lifestyle changes. And that is great. But her focus has been for years, let's not have you take the pills. That's been her focus.
I think that's more the exception.
But I've seen that with my kids as well. And so this may be something just different in terms of certain doctors. And so, again, anecdotal because it's been my experience. But I find it interesting that Johnny says that his own personal physician has never talked to him about his own personal health. And I know, my mom is going in next week for knee replacement surgery. And I know that routinely her doctor talks to her about exercise, heart health, stress, sleep. All of those things are discussed with her for years because I've gone with her through some medical issues and some other bouts. So
you know what
I
think this is more than anything else that I find intriguing because I've been in politics long enough to see it all come around. This is like the revenge of Michelle Obama.
Yeah, all the stuff that she was made fun of for doing.
Right.
Yeah.
With regards to healthy eating and schools and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So.
And Johnny, you talk about the lifestyle changes and the milk and stuff like that. They do make lactose-free milk if you're lactose intolerant, if that's the gout thing. They do make lactose-free milk right now because I have 2 people in my family that are lactose-free under my roof. So we do both the lactose milk and lactose-free milk, and you really can't tell the difference in any way, shape, or form. And I have a friend of mine, one of my best friends in the entire world. He suffers from gout. For him, it has to do with certain meats, and especially for him, salt content. That's the weird thing for him, is if he starts consuming foods that are way too high in salt content, his gout acts up. It may be totally different for your biology, but that's just weird. I mean, I just think it's interesting. And for him, it was lifestyle changes, and it was his doctor that talked to him about here are probably the foods that are going to trigger this gout. So he was not handed a pill. And again, that could be more on your doctor, and maybe your doctor is, and this is one of the problems I do have, is maybe your doctor is deriving some benefit from prescribing the pills, meaning kickbacks. And we saw that during the opioid addiction, that when we were talking about opioids being prescribed over and over and over again to people, we saw a number of doctors were getting kickbacks from the companies, that the more pills you prescribed, you were getting a cut. So you had an incentive to prescribe those pills. And that absolutely could be happening over and over and over again. And that would completely and totally skew your medical experience.
And I heard that for the radiation treatments, some researchers, they get like $6,000 kickback for everyone that they recommend to the radiation. And so you see all these doctors, they recommend first radiation, and they're getting money back for that.
Yeah, and I would say that anytime they get money back for recommending any sort of treatment would be just dumb. Because, again, what are you going to encourage? It's anybody that's gone to a restaurant and asks, the waiter, what's the best dish on the menu? And the waiter picks the most expensive dish. That's not the best. That's not the most. That's not the best dish. Guys, he's just making the most money.
I've watched literally a friend in my life get diagnosed with cancer, and she was a nurse, and sit there and go, I am going to completely change course with everything that the doctors are telling me I need to go through right now. In my gut, something's telling me something's different. She went on a long journey of evaluating everything she was putting into her body, what she was spending her free time doing, all that stuff. Went on a 6-9 month journey on that. This is a person who was a nurse, worked in hospitals here in the Denver metro area, and came out the other side without that cancer. So I want to see somebody challenge, the system, especially the FDA right now. So
and the other question I would have, and I know that we got to go, would be for Johnny and Jeff, is the idea of how much regulation are you looking for from the government? If the new Surgeon General and RFK Jr. are able to establish a causal relationship, but the issue is that what it is? Do we now have restrictions on the amount of sugar you can put in food? Do we have restrictions on how food can be prepared? Do we have restrictions on, does it change what McDonald's can serve? And that would be interesting, because I would think that if someone of a different political bend would come out and say, we need to start restricting fat, salt, everything else in our food, even at McDonald's, there may be some people on the other side of the aisle screaming about personal freedom. And don't tell me what I can and can't eat.
And if that's where the regulations need to be, or is it more on like these pharmaceutical ads and those types of things? All right.
Well, how about commercials on the other side for, vegetables and fruit, which I know that doesn't make them any money, but we only hear one side.
Yeah.
Take the skill.
Yeah.
That's a good
Johnny,
point, Johnny.
appreciate
Thanks, man.
the call.
Thanks for
Thanks so much. All right, we got You Choose the News coming up. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
All right, let's kick it off, Bill. We missed it yesterday. You choose the news.
Yes, it is that time of the morning where we get to play America's favorite fake radio news game show, You Choose the News. Yes, I've scoured the interwebs for moments this morning to find really dumb stories about us humans to play this fake radio news game show. Why in the world would you do something this silly at this time of the morning? Well, it's because Jeff and I are left unsupervised. Yes, people that can make all the big decisions don't wake up until 7 o'clock, so we are going to take full advantage of the free time. Not saying it's a good choice, I'm just saying it's our choice. Alrighty, and shh, remember, this is a secret, so don't tell anybody. Now, as always, Blake Olson joins us from the news department because it still gives him plausible deniability. And gentlemen, here we go, your choices this morning. Headline number 1, where's the beef? Headline number 2, keeping the change. Headline number 3, can't beat 'em, join 'em. And headline number 4, expensive selfie.
Where's
Mr.
the
Hunt.
beef?
Yeah, where is the beef? Now, the fast food giant Burger King is facing a brand new class action lawsuit. Claims that what they say in their advertisements may not be exactly what happens when you get inside the restaurant. A Florida judge has denied Burger King's motion to dismiss a lawsuit, which 19 people from 13 different states accuse the fast food chain of misleading customers, saying that food looks way too delicious inside of the advertisements. The plaintiffs claim that Burger King advertises their Whopper and other menu items as being 35% larger than they actually serve them. Meaning, yes, that burger on the screen is much bigger than the one that is going to be inside the wrapper. According to the lawsuit, customers are seeking financial compensation for the alleged false advertising.
Good. I hate that stuff.
Just a reminder on this.
Everybody knows that the food's not going to look like it comes in the advertisement. So,
Not at all. Also, this is fun. A fun game to play with advertising. Now, Jeff, you, I'm sure, know this one. That in an advertisement for food, the only thing that has to be real is the food they're actually advertising. Everything else can be fake. So the idea being, if it's cereal, that's not milk. Normally a glue derivative. Yes. So that's the only thing, is only the cereal has to be real. Everything else in that bowl, the strawberries, everything else,
Dr. Casey means
fake.
on it.
Yeah, completely fake. So that's just the advertising rules. Yeah.
I've always thought Burger King should have an advertisement for the greatest smelling restaurant outside.
Yes.
Is there any restaurant that smells better than Burger King?
No, it
outside?
smells fantastic.
I mean, because those flame broiled. That's what they should do.
That's what they really should do. Is they should just
smell
like
so
that.
good.
Yes, they should. Well, the many movie theaters will put popcorn into the ventilation systems, and so it'll make you hungry. So same thing.
I've heard that.
Same kind of thing. Yeah. Alrighty.
That's
Okay.
awesome.
Blake, your turn, sir. Keeping the change, can't beat 'em, join 'em, or expensive selfie.
Keeping the change.
Yeah, keeping the change. Of course they're going to keep the change. Last year, you may remember, banks quickly raised interest rates to record levels on credit cards and added a whole bunch of new monthly fees because the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau had a new rule that was going to threaten a key revenue source for the industry. Now, the thing is that they were going to change some of the rules, but the banks have prevailed in court. The rule is not going to go into effect.
What?
But they're not lowering the credit card fees. They're going to keep the extra money. Because of course they are.
Of course.
Of course they are.
Of course. What do you expect?
I know. Jeff, final choice, sir. Can't beat 'em, join 'em, or expensive selfie?
Expensive selfie.
Expensive selfie. Tiny Colorado town of Mountain View has set up a speed camera. Went live on January 1st. They've caught 2,400 speeders in only a few months, raising nearly $100,000. Yeah. Slow down. Of course.
We're going to actually talk with Darren Weekly about license plate readers next. You're listening to Jeff and Bill.
KNUS.
7 a.m. in the Mile High City on this Thursday, May 8th, 2025. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned in to the Jeff and Bill Show. News Talk 710 KNUS. Coming up here in just a moment, Jonathan Pullen, Special Agent in Charge, Drug Enforcement Administration. That's the DEA, Rocky Mountain Field Division's going to give us some updates on some raids done alongside the FBI. So you're not going to miss this conversation. But now it's time for your morning dose of news and comment with Blake Olson.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, news and comment.
Good morning. 40 and sunny in Denver, expecting a high of 68 today. The 710 5-day forecast is coming up. Our top story, DJT announcing what he calls a full and comprehensive trade deal with the UK. Trump said on Truth Social this morning that the U.S. will sign a trade deal with the UK that will cement the relationship between the two nations for many years to come. He also said there would be a news conference at 8 o'clock this morning. AG Pam Bondi and FBI Director Kash Patel trying to lock up pedophiles and fight for children who are victims. The FBI announces they have arrested over 200 alleged child sex predators. 115 children have been rescued in the FBI's operation with the DOJ.
If you harm our children, you will be given no sanctuary. There is no place we will not come to hunt you down. There is no place we will not look for you. And there is no cage we will not put you in should you do harm to our children. The prioritization of this administration and General Bondi has made it abundantly clear to child predators, you will be hunted down and you will be prosecuted.
And of course, millions still awaiting movement with the Epstein evidence and those involved. Stay tuned with that. 3 law enforcement officers are no longer facing charges connected to the death of Christian Glass. A Clear Creek County judge dropped the charges against the officers Tuesday. The officers have been charged with failing to intervene in the use of excessive force by another officer following Glass's death in 2022. The officers agreed to take additional training and be a part of interviews about the case as a part of a plea deal. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy says he'll announce a new plan today to overhaul the nation's air traffic control system. And Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, in a hearing on Wednesday, he had some fun with Representative Greg Meeks of New York on Wednesday. Meeks with the fake outrage.
Who was the president? And who has been the president since January 20th, 2025?
Wait for it.
Donald J. Trump.
Okay. And who was the president in 2024?
One believes President Biden.
Son of a...
One believes.
Do you believe in the Constitution of the United States and it should be abided by?
I believe in the Constitution of the United States.
So you believe in it without any second thought. You don't have to think about it. You believe in it and you would abide by it. Is that correct?
I have and I do, sir.
Okay. Well, do you know that a president has said he may or may not? You don't know? You done messed up, Aaron!
Bessent was
Dude, that
about to crack.
That is one of the best skits ever. The fact you pulled audio. You done messed up, AA Ron.
Well, you can't. I mean, it's amazing how it's hard to separate this.
You done messed up, AA Ron.
With this.
Do you believe in the Constitution of the United States and it should be abided by?
I believe in the Constitution of the United States.
Bessent was about to just fall out. I watched that like 30 times. It was hilarious. I mean, it was almost as good as AA Ron. Oh, man. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. A 50-year-old Soviet probe built to land on Venus is expected to come hurtling back to Earth in the coming days. The probe was launched in 1972, but has been stuck in Earth's orbit ever since. Scientists warn the spacecraft was built to survive the hottest planet in the solar system and might re-enter the Earth's, I hate saying Earth's, atmosphere intact. That is amazing. 1972. I was 6 years old. Unbelievable. Game 2, Nuggets at the Thunder's second round.
Quite a different story from game 1. That's not working either. Jokic tried to hit Westbrook. Upstairs, slam down. Jalen Williams climbs the imaginary ladder.
Blowout in a very predictable game 2. Nuggets stole game 1 and kind of had an idea that they probably wouldn't go as hard in game 2, so they can bring it back here and hopefully win games 3 and 4, 149-106. The final, 3 and 4 tomorrow night, tipping off at, I think, 7 or 8 o'clock. I'll find that out. But tomorrow night in Denver. 37 in Parker, 36 in Louisville, 40 in Denver. Jeff and Billy continue. Blake Olson.
My name's Blake.
Blake. Do you want to go to war, Malaki? I'm for real.
News Talk 710 KNUS.
Although weaker, the upslope will continue, so we'll still have some chances of showers, a few thunderstorms. Temperatures today, mid to upper 50s and a lot of clouds. Watch out for some areas of fog early. Temperatures will be down to near 40 tonight with any showers or thunderstorms over by evening. Warming up to near 70 and partly sunny tomorrow. An isolated late-day thunderstorm. Lower 70s Friday, late-day thunderstorms. Weather sponsored by Colorado's Best Roofing, reminding you to protect your home from the harsh Colorado weather and schedule your free no-obligation roof inspection today at roofingcolorado.com. That's roofingcolorado.com. Meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Well, Bill, I saw this online the other day. FBI agents executed a federal search warrant today across numerous locations in Colorado as part of a large-scale joint operation with the DEA targeting violent criminal gangs, trafficking illegal drugs. The warrants are connected to a multi-year investigation. Then a little bit later, 4 Honduran men in the U.S. illegally indicted on charges related to fentanyl distribution. Thought to myself, what is going on? And do I know somebody that could give us the details? I do, Bill Thorpe. His name, Jonathan Pullen. He is the special agent in charge of the Drug Enforcement Administration Rocky Mountain Field Division. He joins us now. Special Agent Pullen, thanks for joining the Jeff and Bill Show.
Welcome.
Hey, good morning, guys. Coming to you this morning from beautiful Casper, Wyoming.
Oh, it is beautiful up there. Now, do you guys take a day off? Because I'm sitting here, you got take back day, you're kicking in doors of illegal nightclubs, and then the FBI posting, you're running a multi-year investigation and coordinating with the FBI. Goodness gracious. Is there a moment of pause for the DEA?
Listen, I think the American people demand action, right? 100,000 people dying from drug poisonings every year. I think moms and dads around this country, they want justice. They want us working 7 days a week. And I tell you, my people are busting their ass.
That is exactly right. You sound like an old Western, you sound like John Wayne demanding justice. I love it. Jonathan Pullen, Special Agent in Charge, Drug Enforcement Administration, Rocky Mountain Field Division. Give us an update. What have you guys been doing recently?
Well, obviously you've seen from the news, there's been quite a few additional busts since that nightclub. We got more than one thing in our trick bag. So definitely been working some great cases with our partners over at the FBI. And just this week, there was another press release from a case that we did, the one you just referenced about the 4 guys we arrested in the partnership with North Metro Task Force and the Colorado Bureau of Investigation. That was a fantastic case. A lot of fentanyl came off the street on that case. So we're really proud to work with them. And listen, in addition, we've been working with our partners really across about 5 or 6 different DEA field divisions on a larger case that resulted in the largest ever seizure of fentanyl in the United States, almost 4 million pills. It was 396 kilograms of fentanyl pills seized down right off I-25, just south of us in Albuquerque, New Mexico. The Attorney General, Pam Bondi, announced that just a day or two ago. Those drugs, obviously came into the country, trafficked from the Sinaloa cartel. The networks connected right to Colorado. We did part of the joint investigation in Colorado. We did part of the case in Utah as well. And so, listen, probably not all 396 kilos of that were coming to Denver, but you can bet your bottom dollar some of them were.
That's Jonathan Pullen, Special Agent in charge of the Drug Enforcement Administration Rocky Mountain Field Division. So you guys are out there getting these fentanyls off. You're disrupting the cartels. Maybe I've been missing it, but it seems like you guys are more active, more empowered, more engaged, taking down bigger busts than I've seen in a while. How is that changing the cartel activities? What are you seeing on the ground? How are they responding? I mean, this is a war you guys are in. Give us a real live update of the battle on the ground.
Yeah. So a couple of things. I mean, I think one thing, we're being more proactive with the media, which I think a lot of folks are actually happy about, right? People want to know what we're doing out there to keep them safe. And like I said earlier, parents who've lost kids to the fentanyl crisis, they deserve that. They want to know who's out there bringing justice to their family. And I do think the work is certainly having an effect on the entire network, right? I mean, we put pressure on the Chinese chemical manufacturers, and so we're seeing a slowdown in chemicals coming out of China, going to Mexico, and that has created a shift within Mexico of them trying to use different chemicals to manufacture meth, manufacture fentanyl. It's also seen an increase in cocaine, because as they're not able to get the chemicals they need to make those other two synthetic drugs, we're seeing more cocaine come across the border. So that's an interesting, element to it as well. We've got some great partnerships with the Mexican police right now, and they've been really helping us on a lot of different investigations. Seem a little bit more motivated than they did a few months ago, which is fantastic.
That's Jonathan Pullen, Special Agent in charge, Drug Enforcement Administration, Rocky Mountain Field Division. Let's talk fentanyl deaths in Colorado, headlines that they're dropping. Give us some insight on that.
They are dropping, and they're dropping nationwide, dropping here in Wyoming where I'm at. But what I said to a bunch of chiefs and sheriffs up here the other day was, this is not your warning order to stand down and not worry about fentanyl anymore. It's a little bit of a false flag. Fentanyl deaths are not dropping because there's less fentanyl on the streets. They're dropping because of a lot of reasons. They're dropping because of the things I just said about the chemicals being fewer chemicals coming in from China. They're changing the chemical structure. Fentanyl is a little bit less potent than it was last year. Narcan is in use. Narcan, naloxone is in use all across our communities. That's a big reason they're dropping. They're also dropping because hardcore fentanyl users, they're using meth too. So when they get super low on fentanyl, they take some meth to bring them back to even. Incredibly deadly for your body, but this is what people are doing. So there's a lot of reasons why the deaths are dropping, but it's not dropping because there's less fentanyl. Because I just told you, the largest ever seizure of fentanyl in the United States. These cartels are relentless. They're continuing to push this poison into our communities. So we need to be still on the watch for this stuff.
I want to ask you about Narcan, and there's a conversation happening in Colorado right now. Brittany Pedersen, representative, Congressional District 7, maybe, the Lakewood area. She's encouraging RFK Jr. to continue federal funding of Narcan, citing her own mother's experience. Her mother had overdosed 20 times, including 3 times in one day. How important is it from your perspective with the DEA to have a Narcan and those drugs that can respond to a drug overdose, an opioid overdose, readily available? Does that really help you guys in your job? Is that something that the state should be paying for, the federal government? I don't know if you want to get into policy, but maybe we could talk about Narcan just in particular, but your thoughts on that.
Yeah, so Narcan saves lives. There's no question about it. Listen, everybody should have it. Citizens, first responders. I've had officers, agents who've had to use it on people they come across at a 7-Eleven. who've fallen out from opioid. It works on opioids, and it doesn't work on other types of overdoses, right? You overdose from meth or coke or something, it doesn't work, but it does work on opioids. And so it brings people back to life. And sometimes you got to hit them 3-4 times with some Narcan, if they've had a really high dose, and they'll come back to life. But it absolutely works. And listen, I don't care who pays for it. We need it out there. It is one of the things that's saving people. Just to add to that, I was yesterday meeting with a lady from the Wind River Reservation up here in Wyoming. Her name was Sunny, a beautiful Shoshone woman, and listen, she's lost 3 people in her family to fentanyl overdoses. So this crisis affects people not just in downtown Denver or in Highlands Ranch. It affects people up on Indian reservations in all corners of this country. And Sunny's giving out Narcan to her people in her tribe. She's giving it to the elders because they have young people living in their houses and they don't really know what's going on, but they say, hey, this guy just fell out and looks like he's passed out. And now they're telling the elder, hey, take this Narcan and administer it to them.
That's Jonathan Pullen, Special Agent in Charge, Drug Enforcement Administration, Rocky Mountain Field Division. I wanted to ask you about how the illegal underground clubs are doing. We have a very interesting interview yesterday on our show with Westward, who had been interviewing for years the reporter these migrant camps that were coming up, and he said something that was pretty interesting. He said, they're people that generally like to take risks, and so they risked it all to get up here. He didn't see them particularly hiding out anymore in light of some of these busts and stuff like that. And I had raised the question with you all earlier, maybe there won't be as many illegal underground nightclubs anymore. Are you seeing those pop up? Are they going, maybe we shouldn't go out on a Saturday night? How are cartels responding to the bust down in Colorado Springs recently? You've now had 2 illegal nightclubs that you guys have raided. Are they still going? Are they still showing up on a Saturday night? Or are they rethinking their life choices?
Well, Jeff and Bill, this may come as a surprise to you, but most of the people who are attending these illegal nightclubs at 4 a.m. aren't then getting up and listening to your radio show. They're also not watching the nightly news to find out, what's happening in Colorado Springs. So, some of the information is not always readily available to them, I think. And yes, there are more out there. And yes, we are paying attention to them.
And one of the big busts being this guy from the military who's now claiming the nightclub was run by his mother-in-law. Talk about that interesting family dynamic there. But he was running security. What has developed since then with regards to military prosecution of the guys that were providing security in that club?
Yeah, talk about throwing your mother-in-law under the bus. That relationship is on the rocks, I think. Listen, obviously we've said it before, disappointing to find, active duty U.S. military operating, running these clubs, selling drugs from these clubs, selling weapons to illegal aliens. Just a whole host of crimes and nonsense going on there. The military obviously is taking it extremely seriously. I can't talk about kind of their process of what they're doing with all the other soldiers who were there that night, but I can promise you there is a process. And then the FBI, our partners at the FBI, really stepped up and, as you saw, charged that soldier and are going through the process with him. So we're very excited to see that.
That's Jonathan Pullen, Special Agent in Charge, Rocky Mountain Field Division of the Drug Enforcement Administration. You all seem to have caught the eye of the Attorney General and the President of the United States. Can you tell us anything about those conversations? They've got to be sitting here looking at your leadership, the good men and women in your division, going, these guys are getting these busts done. It's like the star pupil in the class. Can you tell us anything about what those conversations are like?
Well, listen, we don't do it for the accolades, right? We do it for people like Sonny up here on the Indian Reservation who lost family members to fentanyl deaths. That's what motivates my people is for the families who've lost folks, right? But listen, Jeff, you've been around our Citizens Academy. My God, this work is fun too. But having the Attorney General and the President of the United States, reach out to us and comment on social media about the work that the men and women in the Rocky Mountain Division of DEA are accomplishing. It's incredibly rewarding and certainly motivational for my staff.
I got to tell you, after years of headlines where you're just reading about terrible people or terrible things happening to good people, the suffering, the cartel activities, the drug overdoses, all that stuff. I lost my best friend to a drug overdose. It felt like this was just an inevitable part of life. And what you guys have proven and shown, especially over the last few months, is that the American people are fighting back against people that are taking advantage, harming our neighbors, these cartels. You guys are laser locked on them, and you're making a difference. And it's exciting to see. So congratulations. But Special Agent in Charge Pullen, thank you for taking time to join the Jeff and Bill Show today.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys. Appreciate you having me.
It feels like the tide's turning, and it's exciting to see what these gals are doing out there.
Yeah, I love hearing all the really good stories. It's fantastic to see all the hard work. It's wonderful. It's fantastic. And again, baby steps. And I love the fact of what Jonathan had said is that you can't take your foot off the gas, that even though these are good steps, it's still a long way to go. We can go back to talking about health in the last hour, that when you're trying to lose 100 pounds, it feels great when you're down 15. That doesn't mean it's time to grab the Skittles bag.
Well, and I want to point this out, too. Again, you had 200, 300 law enforcement, okay, busting down the doors of this club, kicking in the doors, okay? You had 200 illegal immigrants, many of them gang members, inside the club, okay?
And military.
Think about, and military, right?
That's the crazy
Active duty
part.
military.
Yes.
Think about, you have all those people in one spot, okay? How many gunshots were fired?
Yeah, none, which is great.
Isn't that amazing?
Wonderful.
Like, that's a test. That doesn't happen by accident. That's not like,
No.
oh, look, no one got shot today.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the result of planning. And I've seen it up close and personal. It was kind of fun this last weekend. They brought us in as part of the Citizens Academy to basically be part of ops that day, but they were fake ops.
Yeah.
Okay. So we came in and they did a briefing, and Tubbs turns to me and he goes, "This is exactly what it was like." And a few hours before we were breaking up the illegal club.
Oh, that's good.
So you get to experience what it's like. It's very professional. Okay.
Yeah. So all of our listeners, Jeff went through police academy.
That's right.
The movies. Just saying.
And now I got my badge.
Yes, exactly.
So you see how professional it is, right?
Yeah.
So the slideshows were, this is where we're going in. These are the missions. These are the entry points, exit points. We've scoped out. We've done surveillance. We know where they could possibly go. And then they go, okay, here are the nearest hospitals. This is actually a big part of the briefing. If it's a level 1 trauma injury, this is where you're going. If it's level 2, assess, this is where you're going. Now, and so everything is planned out. This is who we're going after. This is what they look like. This is their background. These are their license plate numbers on their cars. Everything is mapped out and professionalized. Then these guys were working with Douglas County, Colorado Springs, the post office, because drugs get mailed. That's why. All FBI, all these different agencies. They have a Predator drone flying around. They hit this thing coordinated perfectly. You know what the funny thing was? The one hiccup they ran into that day?
No, what?
I heard from the guys that did this. Nobody could hear them yelling over the music.
Oh, because the music was too loud.
Yeah. So they go, FBI, DEA, search warrant, prepared to be entered, all that stuff. And they're just, the people just.
Oh, wow. Makes you think that at some point or another, kill the lights, but then you can't see inside. So that's the idea is, pull the.
So that's why you get the video of everybody running out going, whoa, wait, what?
Yeah. Of not knowing that everybody's outside. That's funny. That's really good. That's insightful.
Because I think they were, Bill, you and I were all there.
Oh, yeah.
At one point at a party where they're like, cops! And everyone's like, get out of here! And you take off running because you learn, don't stick around.
Yes. Although you also learn, don't run out the front door.
Yeah,
that's a really bad place. That's where normally the police were gathered when I had to run away from parties.
So you see this video, these guys run out and they're like, oh no, and the guy in the shorts, oh my gosh, guy in the shorts.
I'm just saying that
Hilarious.
young Bill and his friends might have made a poor decision at one point earlier in my life, where we thought that maybe in this part of a park that's connected to a green belt, that was a way further enough that the police wouldn't see us being loud and noisy and doing things that we shouldn't have. We didn't realize there was only one way to get out of that parking lot, and there was water and stuff around, and so yeah, it was pretty easy for them just to line us all up and say, here's your ticket, and your ticket, and your ticket, and your ticket. You're like, great, this is wonderful. Yeah, very poor planning on our part. Yes, exactly.
Special thank you to Jonathan Pullen, Special Agent in Charge, Drug Enforcement Administration. I mean, it is like having John Wayne back in charge.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to get into the politics of this, but text message from Corey Nelson's exactly right. The DEA is no longer handcuffed by the Biden appointee for the U.S. Attorney in Colorado. He was a political hack who was Hickenlooper's Denver City attorney who had zero prosecutorial experience. So there has been a change there. Look, Pullen's there to just bust bad guys. He don't want to get into the politics of it. But truth is, this dog's been unleashed.
Yeah.
And this dog's hunting.
I mean,
it's awesome.
And I appreciate what Corey is saying, and I've always wondered about that, again, regardless of political affiliation, why in some of those positions you'd put somebody in charge that's never been a prosecutor. It was like when George Brockler...
The point's not prosecuted.
Yeah, it's because the thing is that you'd think that the U.S. attorney, that'd be kind of the thing. Like when George Brockler was going through a primary and the Republican primary opponent had never really been a prosecutor. You're like, but isn't that the job? You want to tell all the other prosecutors you haven't done the...
Because it is politics with that side.
Yeah, never understand
Not
that.
putting the bad guys
Doesn't make
away.
any sense.
All right, we're going to switch gears here. Rep Ty Winner, Assistant Minority Leader. That's the second-ranking Republican in the Colorado House of Representatives. Going to be joining us next. Talk about the fact that, goodness, state legislature's done, but a whole wake of damage as a result of it. We'll get into that and more. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader News Talk 710 KNUS.
wiping up the damage they're doing at the Colorado State Capitol. Those Democrats in total control of our state legislature, near supermajorities in the House and the Senate, and those poor Republicans down there doing their very best to raise awareness of the lunacy that's coming from those Democrats. And he finally gets a morning off, and he's joining the Jeff and Bill Show. Assistant Minority Leader Ty Winter, thank you for taking time to join us.
Yes, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. No, good morning. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate you both. And it was good to see you outside the Capitol the other day, Jeff. It's always good to see a friendly face.
Absolutely. You guys have to do the Lord's work down there. Goodness. So let's do a 50,000 view of the last legislative session. Tell us what the Democrats did to the people of Colorado.
It was an all-out assault on freedom, liberty, let's be honest. I mean, they did some things that weren't so good, especially when it was around parental rights and fees and trying to end-run Tabor. I mean, basically everything that we hold dear was under attack. Guys, I think that we did a really good job this year. I think that we were able to figure out the dance. It was myself and the minority leaders, second year in leadership, and we were both freshmen when we were put in leadership. So I think, having last year is the year that we a summer to get a great staff put together, and then to show up this year and have 22, which was 3 more than we had. We stayed united, and we're like everybody. We're a big family. There's days where we don't get along, and there's days where we beat each other up in the back room, but we come out united. So I think on that front, we made some big gains for Republicans around the state. When it comes to fighting them, we stuck with our key things that we heard all year when we knocked doors, and that's we're worried about affordability. We are worried about public safety. Parental rights are huge, and we need you to protect Tabor. And I think that we did a good job on all fronts. I mean, the Tabor resolution didn't even make it based on the pushback that, we laid out in committees and in negotiations. So I think we had some wins.
Yeah, I want to talk to you about that Tabor pushback, because it wasn't like the other issues didn't receive pushback. The radical transgender bill, 1312, had near record signups in opposition, hours and hours of people testifying against that bill. That one, though, made it through. The gun bills, for instance, lots of opposition. Those made it through. So why do you think Tabor stalled out?
That we've seen about 70% of Coloradans support Tabor. This isn't a red, blue, or even independent issue. This is an issue for everybody. And if they see the rising cost of inflation, we're one of the highest. And they're getting nickeled and dimed to death. I mean, it's fee after fee. If you have a cell phone, there's a fee. If you have auto insurance, there's a fee. So there's some people that are literally digging through the couch cushions to be able to have a few dollars to put gas in their car. And then when something like this comes around where they find out that, okay, government is literally taking from us nonstop, they're not being frugal with our money, they're not putting priorities where they should be, and now they want free reign on the checkbook. And I just think that they realized outside the building that this was an issue that they couldn't weasel their way out of, and they had to, take a step back and look at what they were doing.
That's at least a little bit of good news coming from the Colorado State Capitol. That voice you're hearing, Rep. Ty Winter, the Assistant Minority Leader, essentially makes him number 2 in Republican leadership down in the Colorado House of Representatives. Representative, want to ask you if you anticipate any special sessions coming.
Yeah, I would tell everybody to plan on it, buy your tickets now. It's probably looking at August, sometime this fall. Dealing with Medicaid, I'm sure. And there's a few other issues in the building that we don't think that were resolved. We've got to sit down, hammer all that stuff out. It's been fast and furious last month. But I think we'll definitely see a session. I know Medicaid will be one of the big things that we discuss. But, when the governor calls it, there's a few other things that he could bring up. So, I think that we should see it. And I think the people of Colorado should be ready to see us back at the Capitol, I think, from August to October at some point.
Do you anticipate any vetoes coming from the governor on this last-minute push of legislation?
Yeah, I think we'll see some vetoes. I think what you saw this year was, of course, when you talk to the institutional knowledge around the building, Governor Pullen is like one of the first governors to come in and lobby like the style they do in Washington, D.C. So all of his departments, have a lobby. And when they're running around in this building and they're trying to put amendments on bills, at that point, that's code word for the governor wants to sign your bill, but you got to get it in a place where he wants to sign your bill. And there was a lot of legislation like that. We know, the Uber bill is a bill that he's threatened. The Labor Peace Act is a bill that he's threatened. He threatened to veto my lab-grown meat bill, but when you get 100% through the House and Senate, it's kind of hard to go against that. So, I think we did some really good things. I think the governor is going to look at some vetoes, and I think that last year he vetoed more bills than he had in his first term and a half, and I think this year he might beat that record.
It's Representative Ty Winter. I want to ask you how you think the Colorado government's going to respond to Donald Trump. Donald Trump has now already pulled $24 million in funding from the city of Denver. He's suing the state, the city, Jared Polis, Phil Weiser, Mike Johnston. We're probably going to see further federal cuts coming as a result of our sanctuary policies. I always kind of found it entertaining because Donald Trump's going, I'm going to sue you because you're a sanctuary state. Jared Polis going, we're not a sanctuary state. And then the lawmakers at the state capitol going, well, let's sanctuary state even harder. So how is this all going to play out with Donald Trump in the next few months, you think?
To be honest with you, we ran the severability clause on every piece of legislation that we thought that the government was going to be able to come and pull money out of, because I think the biggest misconception is Republicans want to see money pulled from Colorado, and we don't. We just want the Colorado legislator to uphold the laws of the nation and, to actually listen to our president, our executive branch, our judicial branch, and just do the right thing. And that's just follow the rule of law. So we ran the severability clause on every piece of legislation, which means that legislation or parts of legislation would be null and void if it ran into federal law and funding. And the Republican caucus from the well numerous times says, hey, we're warning you, don't do this. The current administration is probably going to pull money. We don't want to see money pulled from the people of Colorado. They pay into federal taxes. But we've reached out on many things. You guys know that. We wrote a letter to Bondi over the Second Amendment stuff. And we've constantly made a ton of noise saying that this is going to happen, and we don't want it to happen. So, just like they did with the immigration stuff, this is going to create a problem, and they basically shrugged that off.
You're listening to Representative Ty Winter, Assistant Minority Leader, down at our Golden Dome, joining Jeff and Bill live. Good news, bad news. Big, deep sigh of relief that this year's legislative session is over, but hold your breath because Representative Winter says we've got a special session that we should expect incoming this fall. Representative Winter, what was something that you thought was unexpected from the Democrats? We understand they're going to want to try to destroy Tabor. We understand they're going to want to try to go easy on the criminals. But what was something that surprised you, either good or bad, that the Democrats did under this session?
When it comes to, let's start with the bad. When it comes to bad, I think it's looking at the dance with the federal government. I think that all the money that this state has the ability to lose based on this legislation. And, here's the deal is back in 2020, when President Trump wasn't put in office, you know what I did? I got up the next day and I went to work. Well, what's happened here in the state of Colorado is, legislators have doubled down. There was a lurch to the right around the country. Colorado didn't see it as much, but I think that they think that this has given them just carte blanche to just be as radical as they can. And what's hard for me is the people of Colorado are suffering. So they're in this little war with the president. We had numerous legislators come up and say, right after the November election, we started crafting this legislation. This is in direct response to the Trump administration, and they have said some of the most horrible things and compared the Trump administration to some of the most horrible atrocities in the world. And I think the immigration was the one, because in Colorado, I think the last polling data I saw that 56% of Coloradans believe in mass deportation. This is an issue that we know the president won on and that we won on. And to just see them double down on that is pretty disgusting. Good things, I will say, and I'm going to brag about a bill I ran, the nuclear energy bill. You take Ty Winter, who's a conservative Republican out of an ultra-conservative district, and then you partner him with Alex Valdez, who's after working with him, we got a lot of good things done. I got to know him a lot better, but he's an inner-city Democrat that's, a big clean air guy. So those are the times when you get in this building and you have to put the swords down, and when you find people that you have a mutual idea, one day you might be vehemently against each other on the floor, but then when you're looking at getting something done for the people of Colorado, you find that middle ground, and you find that ground to get something done. So the good example would be the nuclear energy bill we ran, because I think that's something that's going to help all Coloradans. The Democrats are pushing us off the cliff when it comes to green energy. I don't think that they have sustainable base load power, and I think the only conversation we can have on the track that we are is nuclear. So that's the point that, and I can speak for myself, that we got together on something that I do think will benefit the people of Colorado.
And I got to say personally, nice job, Representative Winter, getting the Democrat buy-in on that one, because years ago, the Dems would have seen the word nuclear power, and it would have been a no-starter. Nicely done. You did admirable work on that one. That's Assistant Minority Leader, Representative Ty Winter. Now, the last question I've got for you, sir. What is a disappointment from this past session? What do you feel is a big missed opportunity? If we gave you the Jeff and Bill magic wand, how would you wave it, and what would you change about this last session? What's that missed opportunity you feel?
There's a couple things, if you don't mind. I mean, the fees that we saw put on the people of Colorado. People are, right now they're making decisions whether they're going to pay the electrical bill or they're going to be able to buy groceries. And I think that the total disregard for putting more weight and pressure on the people of Colorado through fees and overregulation, and then the attack on parental rights. If I could wave a magic wand, I would let the people and the parents of Colorado know that, the Republican caucus don't believe in that. You know what's best for your kids, not big government. And I think that especially on the 1312 bill, I walked out, a couple years ago when we heard the first iteration of the assault weapons ban, this place was full. When I walked out of the chamber right before the testimony on 1312 in the Senate, I mean, this place was full. There were people lined up, one behind the other, all the way on the second floor, going down into the first floor. So, I just feel bad for that's my biggest disappointment, is the parents of Colorado are seeing the ability for them to raise their children in the best way that they know how, taken from them by big government. And when you have a couple legislators that think that they should be making decisions in the homes of Coloradans when it comes to their kids, that's probably the most heartbreaking thing we saw. But I'll tell you what, we doubled down, and I'm proud of the Mighty 22. So Colorado know that we're going to stand up for kids, and we're going to stand up for parental rights, and hurting kids is bad, and we will never stand for that, and we will always push back on that.
That's Rep. Ty Winter. Look, policy is personnel. When you get bad leaders in there, you're going to end up with bad laws. Now the legislative session's done. The work to replace a lot of those legislative leaders begins now. There'll be Senate elections coming up this fall. So, goodness. Well, I think maybe are there Senate elections? Are we stuck with the same makeup for the next year as well?
Yeah, we've got the same makeup for the next year, but it's a whole new year after that. I mean, all statewide races. We just got to get to work. We got to be boots on the ground, and we have to work on changing the hearts and minds of some of the people in Colorado who are going to want to see good things happen.
That's exactly right. Representative Ty Winter, thank you for fighting back the very best you could. Organize a great group. The Republicans down there were fantastic. There's just not enough of them, and that's got to change. Representative Ty Winter, appreciate your time this morning, sir.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you all. God bless House District 47. God bless Colorado, but most importantly, God bless the greatest country on earth, the United States of America.
Amen. Speaking of great guys, I want to talk to you about my friend Dan Kaplis with Dan Kaplis Law. I've known Dan for well over a decade. Pro-life, pro-family, pro-America. That matters because who you choose to represent you in an injury case says a lot about you to everybody involved in the case. You want a guy with a sterling reputation of over 40 years getting justice for people hurt in injury cases. Let's talk about what he delivers in the courtroom. Dan is believed to be the only lawyer in Colorado history to win 5 straight multi-million-dollar verdicts in Colorado crash cases. Dan is also believed to have won the largest truck crash verdict in Colorado history. Dan Kaplis Law is so trusted, he's the official law firm partner of the Denver Nuggets and the Colorado Avalanche. Dan Kaplis Law is a serious firm for serious cases. Dan accepts righteous injury cases on a percentage fee basis so that he can represent good people from all walks of life without regard to ability to pay. So if you need Dan's help, give him a call. Here's the phone number, 303-770-5551. That's 303-770-5551, or hit dankapleslaw.com. That's Dan, C-A-P, LISlaw.com. We'll continue with your phone calls and texts. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Bill, do you know the name Julie McCluskey?
Yes, I do. Yes.
She is the Speaker of the House. Speaking of the legislature wrapping up yesterday, I was informed that she doesn't own JulieMcCluskey.com.
Oh, that seems like a strategic misstep, just in general.
You may want to go visit it. It's kind of interesting.
Oh, no. Although, I do love when this happens. I mean, again, I love when this happens, when someone does not have the website or, that
represents their name.
Oh,
For
that is
years,
wonderful.
JeffHunt.com was a real estate agent down in Colorado or in Arizona, but I got it now.
Hey, nice.
But yeah, if you're going to run for office, maybe get the basics.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to buy JulieMcCluskey.co421.net.
No, but yeah, you got to do the basics.
The basics.
Yeah.
You got some time, go visit JulieMcCluskey.com in honor of the state legislature wrapping up yesterday.
And again, whoever was smart enough or clever enough to realize that and bought it, nicely done. Tip of the hat.
Tip of the hat, indeed.
I don't care, regardless of political side. The fact that you have the ability to do that, I don't care. I just love the fact that you have the ability then to throw rocks at the other person. I honor that deeply. That touches a certain special part of my heart.
You need protection out there, and if you're running a business, alarm detection systems are the people that can defend you. Look, we all know with this political climate in Colorado, if the bad guys are getting out, your business is at risk, and reliability is not optional when business security is on the line. It's essential. Businesses trust alarm detection systems for the highest level of service and expertise. Think about all the time you could be saving with one source for your cameras, key card access, fire and intrusion systems. They got 24/7 professional monitoring, dedicated teams for camera, access control, and fire alarms, and over 300 security professionals working for you. Choosing ADS means your business stays protected and will be ready to open tomorrow. All you got to do, visit adsalarm.com. That's adsalarm.com. Alarm detection systems. Schedule your appointment with them today. adsalarm.com. Alarm detection systems, the first choice of Front Range and Colorado businesses. All right, we've got the sheriff coming up next. Sheriff Darren Weekly. You're listening to Jeff and Bill.
This is Denver's Talk Leader. We're 710 KNUS.
got law in the studio.
Yes, we do.
Sheriff Darren Weekly,
Yes.
Douglas County's sheriff, is live in studio. We're going to get to him in just a second.
Did he frisk you? He frisked me in the hallway.
Of course, they always do.
I
Bill.
know. I felt it was somewhat personal. I mean, it's a nice way to get to know him, but it's nice.
Bill is always put in a unique position with me because I end up with like bishops, pastors, law enforcement, all hanging out with me, and Bill's like, did I do something?
I know. And they're always like, and they always ask Jeff off air, what sort of curse did you do to get paired up with this guy? Is there something? Did you unearth Indian bones or something? And so how did this happen? Yeah, it's like, did you read a book you weren't supposed to? You had to the end it cursed you? What happened here? Yeah, all the time.
So I asked him to come in because I saw this headline: the Denver City Council rejects contract expansion for license plate recognition cameras in the city. And he was kind of talking about how this actually works, why it's beneficial to law enforcement, and in part, the Denver City Council no longer wants these license plate readers because of ICE. Because of ICE.
It's weird.
May bust an illegal immigrant. Oh my goodness, this is just crazy. So he's going to help us think through all of this. You're not going to want to miss it. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show, by the way. It's 8:01 a.m. on this Thursday, May 8th, 2025. And we're going to get to your morning dose of news and comment with Blake Olson.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, news and comment.
Hey, good morning. Thursday morning, 44, sunny in Denver, expecting a high of 68 today. The 7-10 5-day forecast is coming up. Our top story, 47, called Fed Chair Jerome Powell a fool this morning. And DJT announcing a full and comprehensive trade deal with the UK.
All I do is win, 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 no matter what.
Press conference almost underway. How about all that bad news on tariffs from the media? Colorado House Assistant Minority Leader Ty Winter on the show a few minutes ago with highlights of what happened at the state capitol in the last legislative session, which has ended.
We stayed united, and we're like everybody. We're a big family. There's days where we don't get along, and there's days where we beat each other up in the back room, but we come out united. So I think on that front, we made, some big gains for Republicans around the state. When it comes to fighting them, we stuck with our key things that we heard all year when we knocked doors, and that's we're worried about affordability. We are worried about public safety. Parental rights are huge, and we need you to protect Tabor. And I think that we did a good job on all fronts. I mean, the Tabor resolution didn't even make it based on the pushback that, we laid out in committees and in negotiations. So I think we had some wins.
But he added that it was an all-out assault on freedom and liberty by the Democrats, of course, on Coloradans. And the Republicans will keep working to fight against it.
Listen, I think the American people demand action, right? 100,000 people dying from drug poisonings every year.
Special Agent in Charge Jonathan Pullen, Rocky Mountain Field Division from Casper, Wyoming this morning. DEA continues to do great work, on with Jeff and Billy last hour also. And after the big bust in the Springs a few weeks ago, the DEA continues to fight to clean up our communities.
I think moms and dads around this country, they want justice. They want us working 7 days a week. And I tell you, my people are busting their ass. Obviously, you've seen from the news, there's been quite a few additional busts since that nightclub. We got more than one thing in our trick bag. So definitely been working some great cases with our partners over at the FBI.
And the Colorado Bureau of Investigation says 4 people have been arrested and multiple pounds of fentanyl have been seized after a significant drug investigation. The CBI says the investigation revealed that the drug trafficking organization has ties to multiple states and related to the Sinaloa cartel. AG Pam Bondi and FBI Director Kash Patel trying to lock up pedophiles and fight for children who are victims. The FBI announces they have arrested over 200 alleged child sex predators. 115 children have been rescued in the FBI's operation with the DOJ.
If you harm our children, you will be given no sanctuary. There is no place we will not come to hunt you down. There is no place we will not look for you. And there is no cage we will not put you in should you do harm to our children. The prioritization of this administration and General Bondi has made it abundantly clear to child predators, you will be hunted down and you will be prosecuted.
Millions waiting for action on the Epstein files. Close confidant of the royal family, John Bryant, caught on tape saying,
I was really pissed because he lied to me. Epstein. When I found out he was lying, I was so pissed. No, he was f***ing underage girls. That's not cool.
He said Prince Andrew lied to him about Epstein and, quote, effing underage girls. James O'Keefe with yet another bombshell on Wednesday, shine the light on the evil. 3 law enforcement officers are no longer facing charges connected to the death of Christian Glass. A Clear Creek County judge dropped the charges against them Tuesday. They were charged with failing to intervene in the use of excessive force by another officer following Glass's death in 2022. The officers agreed to take additional training and be a part of interviews about the case as a part of a plea deal. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy says he'll announce a new plan today to overhaul the nation's air traffic control system. Game 2, Nuggets and Thunder, second round.
This was an old-fashioned playoff blowout. Oklahoma City responds in a big way.
Well, you got that right. Very predictable. A boat race after the Nuggets stole Game 1, 149-106. The final. Games 3 and 4 back in Denver. Game 3 tomorrow in Lodo. 42 in Lone Tree, 41 in Superior, 44 in Denver. Jeff and Billy continue.
Do you believe in the Constitution of the United States? And this should be abided
I believe in the Constitution of the United States.
So you believe in it?
I think he said that. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Upslope conditions are coming to an end, so warmer temperatures will return to Colorado, along with a few isolated showers and thunderstorms, but not as many as the last few days. Sunny to partly sunny, 60s and low 70s today, an isolated afternoon or evening thunderstorm, low to mid 40s and clear tonight, 70s Friday, maybe a late day thunderstorm, 70s and 80s coming for the upcoming weekend with isolated late day thunder. Weather sponsored by Colorado's Best Roofing, reminding you to protect your home from the harsh Colorado weather and schedule your free no-obligation roof inspection today at roofingcolorado.com. That's roofingcolorado.com. Meteorologist on day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
We're going to talk to Sheriff Darren Weekly here in just a second, the Sheriff of Douglas County. We've got a lot to cover with him. You're not going to want to miss this conversation. I want to talk to you first about our friends over at L&L Heating and Air Conditioning. Our air conditioning broke. Our furnace was not big enough for our house. It was an older model put in before we moved there, and so we had pockets of our house that just never got warm. It was a real mess. I called a number of different folks, and we settled with L&L Heating and Air Conditioning because they delivered, okay? One-day installation, no stress, personal service from start to finish, and they even followed up to make sure everything was perfect. Now, our home is finally comfortable no matter what the weather, and with L&L Heating and Air Conditioning, we have got even more peace of mind. Look, you're going to go from 30s and 40s yesterday to 80s on Sunday. That's Colorado. So you got to have a great working system. Listen to some of these deals. Free programmable thermostat and carbon monoxide detector with new furnace or air conditioner installation. No emergency charges. $0 trip fee. Price match value guarantee on equipment. Free estimates. Licensed and insured. And a 5-year labor warranty. Everything works great, and our family couldn't be happier. So if you're looking for fast, honest, reliable service, I highly recommend L&L Heating and Air Conditioning. 720-851-1691, 720-851-1691, or online at bestdenverhvac.com. That's bestdenverhvac.com. I'm sure glad we called them. That number again, 720-851-1691. Excuse me. So I saw this headline coming from the Channel 7. Denver City Council rejects contract expansion for license plate recognition cameras in the city. And then because I follow him, because he's a community leader, Sheriff Darren Weekly posted this. This morning, we caught a robbery suspect from another jurisdiction using flock safety. This tech helps catch murderers, rapists, kidnappers, robbers, and ID sex offenders near schools. Meanwhile, the city of Denver policies empower criminals and make our entire metro area less safe. Strong words from the sheriff of Douglas County. He joins us now in studio. Sheriff Weekly, thank you for joining the program.
Thanks for having me. It's always good to be here.
So you have some strong words with regards to the Denver City Council now voting against these license plate reader renewals. Let's talk about that. Go ahead. Why your thoughts and positions on that?
Just, it's absurd. It's infuriating that, the city of Denver, if the city of Denver gets sick, everybody else catches a cold around the entire metro area. And so the fact that they are not willing to utilize these license plate readers that literally helps us catch criminals on a daily basis. And I'm not just talking one or two. If I've got this platform up in my office, every couple of minutes I'm going to hear a ping. And what that is just a license plate that is passed by the camera that the plate might be stolen, the vehicle might be stolen, the person might be wanted, person could be a sex offender, but it also captures other things. Let's say your child gets kidnapped and we know what the plate or the vehicle description looks like. Right. We might be able to capture that person before your child gets sexually assaulted or murdered. And so the fact that they're not utilizing this amazing technology is just absurd. And I think a lot of people, part of the problem is they don't understand how the software works.
Yeah. Well, they're claiming privacy rights. All of a sudden, the city of Denver seems to care about privacy rights. But they actually comment in their statements about why they did not approve extension of these license plate readers is the FBI, ICE. All of a sudden, Donald Trump gets elected, and city of Denver, with their progressive leaderships going, well, maybe we don't want the FBI and ICE to have access to license plate readers. What's your response?
Again, it's just ridiculous. It's overreaching. When we get a flock hit alert, it is in real time, so it doesn't have any type of facial recognition. But what it gives us alert on the vehicle or plate. That's all it does is it'll say stolen vehicle, sex offender, stolen license plate. That's all it says. It's up to that deputy on the street to then run that information through the NCICC, CCIC, the federal and state databases, to determine what exactly they have. They have to confirm the status of it and figure out what's wrong. It just doesn't tell us, hey, this plate belongs to Jeff Hunt at 123 Main Street. It doesn't tell us that. The deputy in the field has to do the work. Or the detective that's working a case, let's say we're working a large burglary ring. You heard about the Asian burglary ring that's going on across the country where they're hitting these Asian business owners. And so we might have a detective that's working a case and they think they might have a suspect, potential plate, potential vehicle. They start running that information through Flock and they can say, yep, this vehicle was here where we had a burglary. This vehicle was here where we had a burglary. And so it can do all of that stuff. If we have a homicide in Douglas County and we have a vehicle, it'll do everything. We can search any vehicles that might have been in that location at the time, or if we have suspect information on that vehicle, we can track where that suspect went to. And if the city of Denver chooses not to continue this, the Denver city and county of Denver is going to be a black hole for this information. So all these bad guys got to do is escape back into Denver, and we've lost them. And so they know that. So the bad guys talk. They know who's going to chase them. They know where the license plate readers are. They exchange plates on a regular basis because when a plate gets too hot and they know that's probably in the system, they swap it out for another plate. So if the city and county of Denver boldly says we're not going to have license plate readers, good luck, city and county of Denver.
Right. I mean, so they're saying that this is about privacy. You've just explained that it's not. This is, it's not like all your personal information gets sent to law enforcement. So what do you think the motivation is here?
It's all political, and it's ridiculous. It's political pandering in my mind to certain groups who are angry about this. And there's people that I understand the privacy concerns. There's people on the left and they're on the right that have privacy concerns about the overreach of government. But the fact is this software doesn't do what they think it does. You actually have to go into the databases to determine what you exactly have. And there is an audit trail for anybody that pulls up this information or anybody that drills down into the information that's given. The officer's name, why they are pulling it, related case numbers, all of that. And so if we need to, we can go back. And, misuse of either that database or the NCIC, CCIC database, potential criminal charges can come out of that. Literally millions of plates are getting read, on a monthly basis. And so to think that, John Doe, law-abiding citizen, that we're tracking their movements, it's just not happening. It's just not true.
Well, I'll call a spade a spade. I've been with Mike Johnston in Congress, sat right behind him when he had to testify, and he's going, "We're not a sanctuary city." Jared Polis going, "We're not a sanctuary state." Meanwhile, I'm watching the state legislature go, "Let's figure out ways to become more of a sanctuary state." And in this case, I think this is an effort, a clear-cut effort, where they go, "We're a sanctuary city." This is really motivating the fact that we don't want the FBI. They even say it. We don't want the FBI. We don't want ICE being able to track illegal immigrants.
ICE has never, not one single time, asked us for license plate reader information. The federal law enforcement agencies have a lot more resources than the Douglas County Sheriff's Office, I assure you. When we have a real bad guy, a fugitive that we're trying to track down, dangerous individual, who do I call? I call the FBI for resources. I'll call the U.S. Marshal for resources because they have those resources to help me and my deputies find who we're looking for. They don't need the Douglas County Sheriff's Office. When they do, they call us. They call us for help. But I will tell you as the sheriff, they have never once asked us for any of that data.
So, in other words, if the FBI or ICE wanted to put their own license plate readers into the city of Denver, they could.
It depends on where the reader is being installed. Certain places require permitting and all kinds of other things. But if they're interested in certain, they can do a lot of different things. So you can put pole cams up in front of houses. You can put them up in front of business. You could do a lot of different things. Mm-hmm. You can write search warrants for people's phone data and track people's cell phone data. You can write geofence warrants for cell phone data in a certain area to find out who was in that area. Now you have to have probable cause and get that warrant signed by a judge. But the message that's kind of being inferred or put out there that law enforcement, whether at the local or federal level, is just violating people's rights or privacy left and right. That's not true. But the fact is, we can set settings on the flock system. What do we want to know about? Do we want to know, certainly, if a stolen vehicle is out there and everything? We have to dial some of this stuff back. If it's a misdemeanor, low-level warrant,
you're going to hear that pinging all the time.
Exactly. My deputies are going to be running around all day. So we have to dial it back a little bit. Where we want felony warrants. We want to know where those sex offenders are. We want to know if we have stolen vehicles.
The headline coming from Channel 7 here is the Denver City Council rejecting a contract expansion for license plate recognition cameras in the city, claiming that, the FBI, ICE, privacy, end result, criminals know that Denver's going to be a safe haven for them. It's going to be like Black Bart's cave. They can run back to it. No one's ever going to get them there. And my mind's going back to that time when you and George Brockler held the press conference and you literally came out with a map that said, drive around Douglas County, criminals, because you come in here, you're going to end up with license plates. You're going to end up with an empowered sheriff's office and a DA that's going to prosecute you. So if you want to bring your drugs, you want to commit crimes, you want to steal cars, you're going to get punished in this community.
100%, and thank you for bringing that up. George Brockler has also been an amazing partner, but we want the reputation. If you come into Douglas County and you're in a stolen vehicle or you're committing crimes, this is not the metropolis of Denver or Aurora. We're going to catch you. A lot of HOAs are starting to put these flock cameras in to protect their individual communities. A lot of businesses have. The private sector had this technology long before the public sector did, and so that's how, like, when you go downtown Denver, you go testify at the Capitol. You know why they don't need you to put your little slip, because they're reading your license plate. They know how long you've been there, and so. Private sector's had this technology for a long time, but back to your point, we had another pursuit last night that I can just touch on briefly. These stolen vehicle on I-25 at Castle Pines. You get a flock hit alert, stolen vehicle. The people decide to run from us. Ends up having a crash over by in Centennial Airport. And it ends up hitting a building. It's moderate damage, nothing too major. Driver is on parole for motor vehicle theft and eluding law enforcement. Every single occupant in that vehicle had issues, whether it be drugs or warrants in that vehicle. And so, again, why didn't the criminal justice system take care of these folks on the front end, first of all? And second of all, we're out chasing them again in our community. We are very responsible when we chase bad guys. We have strict policies on what's allowed, what's not allowed, when you need to terminate. But we are not going to be one of these law enforcement agencies. And there's a lot of them out there. You're in a stolen vehicle. You just decide not to stop for the cops. Bye. And that's not going to happen. And so it's we're going to be the example, and it's working. People are coming to Douglas County because it's a safe place.
Because it's safe.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just so basic. We're hearing from Sheriff Darren Weekly, the sheriff of Douglas County, the Denver City Council voting against license plate reader renewals. But as you pointed out yesterday, as a result of this flock software, you're able to get a bad guy off the streets.
100%. It happens on a daily basis. Yeah. And so just to say we're not going to use this technology, I'm telling you, and again, we can track things like, let's say we have a suicidal subject. Somebody's made threats, they're going to go kill themselves, they got a gun, they're going to go just end it all. Yeah. Without that technology, good luck. Maybe you might find them, maybe you might not find it. But if you could enter that information to the flock system, you can track where they went to. You can start getting law enforcement in that area, and you might save a life.
Now, this isn't your county, but I actually got a message from a friend yesterday who said one of his friend's daughters was almost kidnapped in Littleton. There was 2 girls. A man tried to kidnap them. They were walking from school, and I imagine that flock, I don't know if they have flock in Littleton, but I mean, if not, you're just like going off of the description of a guy.
100%. Right? And we're all sharing this information. Yeah. Each agency has the discretion to share with other agencies. But again, if it starts in Littleton and comes into Douglas County, the Littleton Police Department's going to know, hey, they just went into Douglas County, call Douglas, let them know. Yeah. We're already going to be aware of that most likely, but all these agencies are working together. And for the city of Denver to say, we're not going to do this anymore because we're concerned about immigrants, it's absurd.
I mean, do you hear from other law enforcement they just feel their hands are tied? I mean, I want to go back to Pullen because we had the special agent in charge of the Rocky Mountain Field Division of the DEA on with us. And Bill and I were remarking, it feels like the dog's off the chain with these guys, and the dog's hunting. They're going kicking in doors. They're getting the cartels. It's beautiful to see law enforcement empowered, whether it's the DEA, whether it's Douglas County, to go keep people safe. And in the city of Denver, I imagine you hear from law enforcement that's just like, I don't know what we do all day. We can't go out there. We have so many handcuffs on us, literally, from politicians. I imagine you probably can't talk that publicly about it, but I imagine you hear from other law enforcement that's just going, you guys seem like you're unleashed out there, and it's awesome.
Yeah, 100%. Our federal partners, and I'm friends with all the leadership of our federal law enforcement agencies in Colorado and, quite frankly, throughout the country, and they are off the leash. Yeah. They feel empowered by their president to go out and catch bad guys again. And the Douglas County Sheriff's Office is going to be a partner with them, however we can help and assist them, because it helps keep my community safe if I'm getting these criminals off the streets.
It's just wild to me that the city of Denver, which likely has the most crime because population-wise, it's the biggest, right? So you have a lot of activity, and the politicians are like, no, we're going to go make sure law enforcement don't have the resources. We're talking with Sheriff Darren Weekly, Sheriff of Douglas County. He's doing an absolutely fantastic job. I want to talk to you about Colorado Springs. You were involved in that world famous bust that took place that kicked in the doors of this illegal nightclub. Tell us about your role with that.
The DEA reached out to us and asked us for assistance with a Bearcat, SWAT medics, drone assistance, SWAT operator assistance. And I said, yeah, how can we help? This is not just an immigration raid, right? Because I can't help you on that. But I can help you if it's a criminal investigation. And so it was a criminal investigation. It was a large criminal investigation. And I can't go too far into it, but the fact that we had active duty military personnel involved, we knew about that. The fact that there was a TDA likely to be on scene and other gang members on scene, drugs on scene, guns on scene, 100% we are going to be there to help our federal partners. And in doing so, having that show of force, those resources there, in an extremely dangerous situation that could have gone sideways real quick. That's why we have those resources out there. So there is no violence. There is nobody doing something stupid because they know they're not going to get away, and they're going to think twice before they decide to grab that gun.
I mean, is that kind of fun? To roll up, you got DEA, you got ICE, you got you guys, Colorado Springs, you even got mail and the Postal Service enforcement. You got to be looking around going, dude, we're part of a big operation. That's got to be pretty fun. It is. It's always fun. As a SWAT operator, I did that for many years. It's fun. When you're a boss, you're like, gosh, I just don't want anybody to get hurt. And it's. I just worry about my people because. Doing this job for 32 years, it has never been more dangerous to be a cop in the state of Colorado. That's Sheriff Darren Weekly of Douglas County. We'll continue our conversation with him. I want to talk to you about our friends over at the Colorado Farm Bureau. Whether you pulled out your skis or snowmobiles this last winter, it was a great year for winter fun, but the snow means even more to Colorado agriculture, and I want you to know that our state's farmers and ranchers are doing their part to protect our future water resources. The people of Colorado agriculture always have conservation, efficiency, and reuse top of mind when it comes to water use, and the metro area continues to grow. Colorado Farm Bureau leads talks with state policymakers about preserving water for all areas of the state. As pressure on our water system grows, it's going to take all of us to find a solution. My friends at the Colorado Farm Bureau are leaders in water conservation and water policy. They understand how to balance water for crops and water for families, and they're doing more with less. You can do your part. I recommend you join and become a member today. Go to coloradofarmbureau.com. That's coloradofarmbureau.com to join those good people there. When we come back, yesterday was the 6th anniversary of Kendrick Castillo. We're going to talk with Sheriff Darren Weekly about how we remember and honor that great hero. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710, KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Live in studio is Sheriff Darren Weekly, Douglas County, pointing out that the city council of Denver that's like, well, we're not going to have those license plate readers anymore because of ICE, because of FBI, because of privacy. Pointing out that they're already there if the FBI and ICE wants to use them. And all this is going to do is create a little black hole where criminals know they can go. It's like literally the city of Denver raising a flag saying, go ahead and drive around with your license plates, you criminals that steal cars, because we're not going to bust you. I mean, it's just shocking.
It's a really weird thing here. Okay, now you're watching on TV those crime dramas, and we see in the movies, and all the time there's like, oh wait, there's the bad guy. Quick, grab the computer screen and quick zoom in, and you get like, click, 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 click. Like, there's the license plate, and then they track him as he goes across the, and then we know that he's going here. Look, he's on this highway. Oh, we got to set up this. They're doing that on TV, and Denver's like, seems like a bad idea.
As somebody pointed out here, go drive a toll road in Colorado and then care about your that's how they read it anyways.
Yeah.
So
it's just weird that the idea of not wanting to be able to see where the bad guy, and I love the fact that where Sheriff Weekly was talking about prior to, yes, we can use it to chase them post-crime, but isn't it a huge advantage to be able to identify the license plate of a vehicle outside of where the crime activity happened and then backtrack?
Yes,
figure
especially
out
with
where.
Murders.
Yes, that's
it's
incredibly
like cell
important.
phone pinging all of a sudden become an invasion of privacy.
Yeah,
it's just crazy.
It's a tough one. Yeah.
Sheriff Weekly, yesterday, 6th anniversary of the loss of probably one of Colorado's greatest heroes, Kendrick Castillo.
Yeah, Kendrick, not just one of Colorado's greatest heroes, but he's a national hero. And this young man gave his life to save the lives of his classmates. And I've become good friends with the Castillo family over the last several years. They're just amazing people. But these poor people, they're just destroyed. Their lives are destroyed. And you can only imagine being a parent of a child that was murdered in a classroom where you send your kids to school and they're supposed to be safe there. And, just a horrible tragedy. And the Douglas County community, not just the sheriff's office, we're going to do everything that we can, not only to support this family, but to ensure that nothing like this ever happens again.
Well, can you talk to me about how school safety is going in Douglas County?
We have the largest, bar none, we have the largest SRO program in the state of Colorado. Douglas County and the Douglas County School District, we partner together, we share costs to ensure we do everything that we can to ensure our kids are safe. We have anonymous tip lines that kids can call in threats if they think somebody's brought a weapon to school, whatever. And we drill down on those until they are resolved. So if a threat comes in at 2 a.m. on Sunday morning on a school, guess what? 2 a.m. Sunday morning, we're drilling down on that threat and figure out what's going on. So we never want anything like this to ever happen again in our school district. We want kids to be able to go to school, enjoy school, and not have to worry about their safety.
My kids are educated in Douglas County schools, and one thing I appreciate, armed teachers. I love that. I mean, because here's what I've learned. To stop a bad guy with a gun requires a good guy with a gun. And whether it's law enforcement, SRO, or a teacher, a lot of these guys too, and I've trained with law enforcement, done some active duty training facilities, and a lot of these shooters, like you saw in Nashville, are like paper thin beta weaklings. It's like the minute you put the tiniest amount of pressure on them, they fold, and so you gotta get there quick. And whether it's SRO or armed teachers, it puts that pressure and typically makes that active shooting a lot shorter.
I often give the story when the STEM school shooting happened. I was in a meeting, and one of our deputies came in and said, "We got an active shooter at one of the schools." My daughter was
that's got to be the worst. That's got to be the worst.
It absolutely is. And my daughter was going to high school at the time. I'm like, "What school? What school?" Because you're thinking it's your kid, it's your child, and in those moments that you think your child might be a victim of a school shooting, in those moments, you don't care who is there to hold the gun as long as there is somebody there to protect your child. And, I've heard all kinds of different things on this, and people hope for the best. I wish we didn't have to have deputies in schools. I wish we didn't have to have any of that, but that's not the world that we live in anymore. And so whatever we can do to protect our children, I'm in favor of. And we need highly trained people to be able to do that.
That's Sheriff Darren Weekly, Sheriff of Douglas County. Sheriff, you're going to run for office again.
I am. I decided to. I had some opportunities available, and I had a couple of opportunities with the Trump administration. I decided to pull my name out of the hat for those. I got talked to about maybe a possible run for governor, and I gave that a lot of thought with my wife. At the end of the day, I came back to I worked real hard to get in the job that I'm in. I had a lot of people give me money, and some of it was they gave me maxed out donations. Other people gave me $25. I felt that God wants me right where I'm at. I'm going to run for this second term. We'll see what opportunities are available after that. But I love my agency. I love the members of the Douglas County Sheriff's Office. I think the morale there is higher than it's ever been. I've been there for 32 years now. We're a great agency, and we got the spotlight on us, not only in the Colorado, but throughout the nation. It's one of the top law enforcement agencies in the nation, Triple Crown accredited agency. We are catching bad guys left and right, keeping our community safe. And I want to continue to be able to do the things I'm doing, and it's just going to get better on the second term.
Yeah. What would you like to achieve in your second term?
I know it's not doesn't sound all that cool, but I want to do more of the same that we're doing. I want to continue to use technology to keep our citizens safer. We still need more cops on the street. Just over the years, we have just fallen behind. Our population has increased about 2% per year. That has not slowed down. And so we got to continue to add more of those patrol deputies on the street.
Are you guys hiring right now?
We are hiring right now. Just go to Join DCSO. It's a
Join DCSO.
Join DCSO. Okay. And so we are hiring civilian positions. We are hiring commission positions, laterals. I'm hiring Denver cops and Aurora cops. You want to come work for me? I'd be glad to take you and your experience, and we'll let you be cops. But it's a great agency. If you want to be part of the greatest law enforcement agency in the state of Colorado, go to Join DCSO.
What's life as a law enforcement officer like? I'm talking to the guy out there driving delivery right now that's going, I probably need to make a change.
Every single day is different. And so if you're a deputy in the jail pod, or you're out there on the street working the street, there's no 2 days that are the same. So if you're in just a mundane job, no excitement, nothing to really drive you to come back to work the next day, this is your answer, especially in a sheriff's office, because throughout my career, I've been able to do everything. I've worked undercover narcotics. I've worked homicide cases. I was a SWAT operator. I was a canine handler. I've done just about everything there is to do. Sheriff's offices, typically there's a lot more opportunities than a police department, depending on the size of the police department, of course. But, hey, if you've ever had that dream of actually pinning on that badge and going catching bad guys, hey, I wanted to do that since I was 5 years old, and I'm living my dream right now.
I was, as I'm attending this DEA Citizens Academy with Stephen Tubbs and John Pullen and the rest of those guys, I'm sitting there with law enforcement going, dang it, Bill. I could have had such a fun career. I'm way too old for this stuff now. I'm like 10 years past the DEA age limit, but it is so fun. They get to go out there, and it's such a rewarding job.
It is. It really feels good. And some of the best experiences I've ever had that, let's say you're that lead detective on a homicide case, and you get that guilty verdict. There's nothing like that getting for the family that has been victimized. If you're on that pursuit and everything ends well, you get that foot chase and you get that bad guy in custody, put the cuffs on, high fives all around. You got your bad guy. It's just an awesome, awesome job.
Do you think we've turned a corner? If you go back 5 years ago or so, it was, if you had a badge, gosh, culture seemed to turn against you. You were oppressors. You were, law enforcement were the bad guys. I think people, and a lot of us warned against doing that because they were highlighting criminals and early releases and no cash bonds and all that stuff went out there, and it seemed like such a bad turn in our country. Do you think things have turned around? Do you think we're back supporting the blue?
I think we are. I think that those, defund the police movements, those have all failed. People recognize the importance of law enforcement. I'd like to add that there's cops that have done stupid things throughout the country. Nobody hates a bad cop more than a good cop, because those that wear the badge, they embarrass all of us. But 99% of the cops that are going out there on the street, they're trying to do a great job to serve and protect their community. They're doing it for the right reasons. They are truly putting their lives on the line to protect people that they have never met before. It's hard to be in this job. You got to pass psych tests, polygraph tests, extensive background checks. It's not easy to be able to wear this badge, and the overwhelming majority are doing a fantastic job every day. I do think that the pendulum is starting to swing the other way, not only just with law enforcement, but just issues like with our state legislature and some of the legislation that we have seen this year. I think Colorado may be at the point where that pendulum's going to start to go the other way.
I sure hope so. I think most people, we're getting text messages here going, God love you for trying to hold criminals accountable, arrest the bad guys, facing all the political wins you face in this state.
It is tough. The political stuff is not the fun part of my job, to be sure. But I've said this before. If police chiefs had to be elected instead of appointed by a mayor, city council, city manager, if police chiefs had to run for office every 4 years, their communities would be a lot safer.
Gosh. I think that's a direct message to a big city nearby. All right. We've got Sheriff Darren Weekly, the Sheriff of Douglas County, live in studio. We'll continue our conversation. By the way, if you ever get injured in a car crash, you're going to be working with law enforcement, all that stuff. You got to have a good lawyer there to help you through all the insurance issues, to make sure you get paid, especially if you're the victim of an injury case. That guy, Dan Kaplis, with Dan Kaplis Law. Speaking of law enforcement, Dan Kaplis is the son of a police officer and a former seminarian who's dedicated the last 40 years of his life to helping people who are hurt in serious motor vehicle crashes. Now listen to this. Dan is believed to be the only lawyer in Colorado history to win 5 straight multi-million-dollar verdicts in Colorado crash cases. Dan is also believed to have won the largest truck crash verdict in Colorado history. Dan Kaplis Law is so trusted, he's the official law firm partner of the Denver Nuggets and the Colorado Avalanche. Dan Kaplis Law is a serious firm for serious cases. Dan accepts righteous injury cases on a percentage fee basis so that he can represent good people from all walks of life without regard to ability to pay. So if you're hurt in an injury case, Dan Kaplis is the guy to call. 303-770-5551. That's 303-770-5551, or hit dankaplislaw.com. That's Dan, CAPLIS law.com. We'll continue our conversation with the Sheriff of Douglas County, Sheriff Darren Weekly. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710, KNUS.
This is great audio, man.
Yeah, it is.
I feel like this guy wakes up to this music. It's Sheriff Darren Weekly and the bad guys. He's heading out there to take him down.
Yeah, well, the thing is, though, that if this is like his alarm music in the morning, his wife is like hitting him with a pillow. Every day. It's just, God, this is
and my wife, she constantly reminds me that she's there to bring me down a notch. Just you're a talk radio host. We walk into a room, people are like, "Hey," and she's like, "I'm there to remind you who you are."
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah. My wife has been dealing with me in the media for so long, she just doesn't care. It's beyond her. She's like, not again. Yes.
I was talking with Darren Weekly, the sheriff of Douglas County, offline, and I think this is really important for everybody to hear. I just go, what are you worried about right now? And you mentioned property crimes.
Yeah, I am. Our residential burglaries are up in Douglas County, despite the fact we got more cars on the street, despite the fact we got LPR readers. It's just really critically important that people lock their home, maybe invest in that alarm system, invest in cameras. It's important to have cameras that actually record stuff. It's not, a lot of people have these cheap cameras that if you go to look at the camera, you can see what's there, but it's not recording. You got to have that, and then light your home up after hours. A lot of burglars like to enter through those the basement windows. Typically like that, and so just maybe secure those windows, get additional locks, but the biggest thing is to report something suspicious in your neighborhood if it just doesn't look right. A lot of these burglars will wear utility vests, things like that, to look like the cable guy, utility guy. If something doesn't look right, call us, let us go in and figure it out.
That's Sheriff Darren Weekly. I strongly recommend you follow him on X, Sheriff Weekly, spelled Weekly, Sheriff Darren Weekly. He's got tips like that. He's speaking into the issues that we're facing. He's remembering Kendrick Castile. By the way, I know John Castile listens to the show, Kendrick's dad, and I've been trying to do this for years. John is such a great guy. I would love to see him in some form of political leadership.
I think when the time is right for him and Maria, I think that he would be amazing.
Yes, 100%. So you got an endorsement, John, from both of us.
There you go.
Sheriff Darren Weekly. By the way, Douglas County Sheriff's Office hiring. If you're looking for a great job, you get to work with this guy. To have this guy as a boss, it would be incredible. We only got about 30 seconds. You're in support of home rule for Douglas County.
I am. I'm actually on the ballot for District 1. I think anything that we could do to better be in control of our own county. I don't think it's the answer to everything. There's been a lot of things out there like, well, we don't have to, obey state law. We don't have to do. That's not true. That's not accurate. But I think it does give us more control. I've been asked about term limits, extending term limits, things like that. I have no interest in that whatsoever. I wouldn't mind a pay raise, but I don't do this for the money because most of my command staff makes a lot more money than I do because my salary is set by the state. But at the end of the day, I don't care. It doesn't bother me.
Well, you're doing great work in Douglas County. My kids go to school there. I feel safe because of the leadership you're doing. So from our family to you, thank you.
It's
for
an
what
honor.
You're doing there,
yes,
brother.
Thank you.
Sheriff Darren Weekly. You can follow him again on X at Sheriff Weekly. Black Eyed Peas live in studio next. I get to eat some food. You're welcome to stay around. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
I get to eat. This is 710 KNUS.
Well, it's 9 a.m. in the Mile High City on this Thursday, May 8th, 2025. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You tuned into the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt, along with Bill Thorpe, bringing you the freshest insights and hottest takes from the right, left, and center. Just got this text message here from Corey Nelson that in 2024, Denver Police Department changed its policy regarding the use of its helicopter. It's no longer allowed to be used in vehicles involved in high-speed chases, to follow vehicles involved in
What? Isn't that the only thing?
Why do you have a helicopter at that point?
That's part of the reason I watch LA News. Because
Yeah,
they have
right.
helicopters chasing the cars. That's the only reason to watch LA News. It's because they do the high-speed chases. That's it.
I lived in LA for a few years, and that was absolutely like a weekly or a nightly viewing.
Oh, yeah. There's a social media site that posts all of those, and I'll go back and you watch them just because they like, interrupt everything, and there are lots of them.
People would try to see if it was in their neighborhood and then run out and see if they could be on the news.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
While that guy was
and the
going
thing
by.
that fascinates me is because I find it strange because traffic sucks in LA. So the idea that I'm going to run from the cops in my car, I'm like, wow, you've really made this difficult. So
I'm having a hard time figuring out what you do as a Denver Police Department at this point. Because I imagine there's crimes, of course, that you want to solve, but you can't use license plate readers to find anybody. You can't use the helicopter. It feels like the Denver City Council is far more interested in putting restrictions on police officers doing their job than they are actually capturing bad guys.
Maybe they just approach crime solving more holistically, to kind of close the thing from earlier in the show.
We're going to go upstream.
Yes, exactly. That maybe what they're doing is they're going to implement alternative ways of catching bad guys, things like psychics and parrots that seem to know things, or get someone with a divining rod or something.
Yes, there you go.
Yeah, so you can stand in front of the criminals,
close
and the person,
there,
the person with the divining rod can go, no, it's pointing at this guy. This guy did it. Maybe that's it. I don't know. Just spitballing here.
Well, we're going to be joined here in just a second by the folks over at the Black Eyed Pea. We've got Steve and Elyse joining us, and we're going to be previewing their Mother's Day menu. Listen to this, okay? If you don't have plans for Mother's Day, or even if you do and you want to change them, this is a great option. This Sunday, May 11th, is Mother's Day, and the Black Eyed Pea has got a great menu for you. Grilled salmon, hand-carved prime rib, the salmon and shrimp combo, and the chicken cordon bleu. Mom's sure to find a favorite with one of those. All entrees served with 2 sides, fresh baked rolls, and your choice of a featured dessert. What are these featured desserts? Listen to this. Cherry cobbler or peach cobbler served with ice cream. I mean, incredible stuff. Plus that 1 pound chocolate cake. Oh, it's so good. Guys, I want to have an honest conversation with the dudes here. All right, you're not going to make dinner as good as Mom can. So why even try when there's a great option out there called the Black Eyed Pea? 8 locations. There's sure to be one near you all along the I-25 corridor, 1 out in Inglewood, 1 in Parker, 1 in Lakewood. They're all over the place. So there's sure to be one near you. This Sunday, May 11th, starting at 10:30 a.m. in the morning, Mother's Day celebration at the Black Eyed Pea. And no matter what the occasion, Black Eyed Pea gift cards are always a great gift idea. I love everything about this restaurant. I know you will as well. It's one of those few restaurants where all 3 generations, my parents, us, my kids, everybody finds something they like. Especially my teenagers love the Black Eyed Pea. It's healthy food. It's MAHA, right? We're getting away from the processed stuff. This is locally sourced, good, healthy food. So let them do the cooking for you. Keep it in Colorado and visit the Black Eyed Pea near you. They're going to be live in studio next, and Billy and I are going to get to try some of it.
So excited.
It's going to be awesome. Now is time for your morning dose of news and comment with Blake Olson.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, news and comment.
Well, good morning. It is 49, sunny in Denver. Going to be a beautiful day. Up and down the Front Range, expecting a high of 68 today. The 7-10 5-day forecast is coming up. Our top story, FBI Director Kash Patel in a hearing minutes ago with Senator Kennedy.
Did Jeffrey Epstein hang himself or did somebody kill him?
Senator, I believe he hung himself in a cell in the Metropolitan Detention Center.
I think he has to say that.
Are you going to release all the information about that?
Senator, we are working through that right now with the Department of Justice.
When you think you'll have it done, Cash?
I think in the near future, sir.
Like before I die?
Senator, we've been working on that, and we're doing it in a way that protects victims and also doesn't put out into the ether information that is irrelevant for production of the public, such as CSAM.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
So much going on in D.C. right now. 47 calling today Victory Day, honoring the victory in World War II. Americans love that. And despite popular belief, Americans like the tariffs more than the media will tell you.
So, tell us, how many people here love small businesses? There we go. How many people here like what Donald Trump is doing with tariffs? All right. There you have it.
That was on Fox, and 47 calls Chair Jerome Powell, Fed Chair Jerome Powell, a fool this morning, and then a big presser talking about a full and comprehensive trade deal with the UK. That is going on right now as we speak.
Unfairly discriminated against American products, but this is now turning out, I think, really to be a great deal for both countries, because it'll be really great for the UK also. So,
Prime Minister Keir Starmer on the phone with the president right now in the Oval Office in front of the media. There are going to be a lot of questions taking place and a lot of answers throughout the day on that one. So stay tuned for that. Douglas County Sheriff Darren Weekly on the show last hour. Also, he crushes it again when discussing the dummies in Denver City Council.
It's absurd. It's infuriating that, the city of Denver, if the city of Denver gets sick, everybody else catches a cold around the entire metro area. And so the fact that they are not willing to utilize these license plate readers that literally helps us catch criminals on a daily basis. And I'm not just talking one or two. If I've got this platform up in my office, every couple of minutes I'm going to hear a ping. And what that is just a license plate that is passed by the camera, that the plate might be stolen, the vehicle might be stolen, the person might be wanted, the person could be a sex offender. But it also captures other things. Let's say your child gets kidnapped and we know what the plate or the vehicle description looks like. We might be able to capture that person before your child gets sexually assaulted or murdered. And so the fact that they're not utilizing this amazing technology is just absurd.
Hello? Hello? Anybody home? Hey, think with flies.
Listen, I think the American people demand action. Right? 100,000 people dying from drug poisonings every year.
Special Agent in Charge Jonathan Pullen, Rocky Mountain Field Division, DEA, on with Jeff and Billy also this morning. And after that big bust in the Springs a few weeks ago, the DEA continues to fight to clean up our communities.
I think moms and dads around this country, they want justice. They want us working 7 days a week. And I tell you, my people are busting their ass. Obviously, you've seen from the news, there's been quite a few additional busts since that nightclub. We got more than one thing in our trick bag. So definitely been working some great cases with our partners over at the FBI.
And Colorado House Assistant Minority Leader Ty Winter on the show also with highlights of what happened at the state capitol in the last legislative session, which has ended.
We stayed united, and we're like everybody. We're a big family. There's days where we don't get along, and there's days where we beat each other up in the back room, but we come out united. So I think on that front, we made, some big gains for Republicans around the state. When it comes to fighting them, we stuck with our key things that we heard all year when we knocked doors, and that's we're worried about affordability. We are worried about public safety. Parental rights are huge, and we need you to protect Tabor. And I think that we did a good job on all fronts. I mean, the Tabor resolution didn't even make it based on the pushback that, we laid out in committees and in negotiations. So I think we had some wins.
But he added that it was all about an assault on freedom and liberty once again by Democrats on Coloradans, and the Republicans will continue working to fight against it. Wow, what a show today. What a show this morning. Game 2, Nuggets at the Thunder, second round.
Quite a different story from game 1. That's not working either. Jokic tried to hit Westbrook. Upstairs, slammed down. Jalen Williams climbs the imaginary ladder.
Thunder blowout and rumble past the Nuggets. Very predictable in a game 2 after the Nuggets stole game 1. 149-106 the final. Returns to Denver for games 3 and 4 tomorrow night. 45 in Castle Pines, 47 in Lakewood, 49 in Denver. Jeff and Billy continue.
You can't filibuster here. This is not the filibuster playground.
I think that should be our new name for this show. Jeff and Billy, the filibuster playground. Blake Olson, News Talk, 710 KNUS.
Upslope conditions are coming to an end, so warmer temperatures will return to Colorado, along with a few isolated showers and thunderstorms, but not as many as the last few days. Sunny to partly sunny, 60s and low 70s today, an isolated afternoon or evening thunderstorm, low to mid 40s and clear tonight, 70s Friday, maybe a late day thunderstorm, 70s and 80s coming for the upcoming weekend with isolated late day thunder. Weather sponsored by Colorado's Best Roofing, reminding you to protect your home from the harsh Colorado weather and schedule your free no-obligation roof inspection today at roofingcolorado.com. That's roofingcolorado.com. Meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. So we're going to be joined here in just a second by Steve and Elyse from the Black Eyed Pea, previewing their great Mother's Day menu available to them this Sunday starting at 10:30, available to all of us starting this Sunday at 10:30. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. Looking forward to that. But speaking of food, Bill, I found this fascinating.
Yeah, tell me what.
Pepsi is now out of the top 3.
I saw that.
It used to be number 2. It has been overtaken by Dr. Pepper and now Sprite.
Yeah, Sprite. That's interesting because Sprite's the Coca-Cola derivative. And so you've got Coke sitting pretty at 1. And by quite a ways, they are very, very far away from Dr. Pepper as far as preference and things like that. But then Sprite, so a secondary derivative out of a Coke family, ends up being number 2. That's crazy. If you're doing Pepsi and you're doing their marketing, you've got to really be worried right now because part of it is Pepsi was trying to, in their previous iterations over the last couple of years, grab the youth market. That was kind of where they were going. They figured that Coke was viewed as the older soda, and then they were going to go with Pepsi being the younger soda, and it has not worked out at all. And the problem is that Sprite is actually gaining a heck of a lot of traction by going into the past. Sprite is using their Obey Your Thirst campaign that was popular a number of years ago, but the young kids that Pepsi was targeting weren't exposed to that Obey Your Thirst marketing plan. So for them, it is brand new. They're doing the exact same thing they did years ago with the Sprite Obey Your Thirst marketing plan and advertising campaign, but they aren't they're doing it with different people. That's a better way to put it. They're doing it with new spokespeople. It's a new plan, but it's the same message. So it's resonating on a level that Sprite and Coca-Cola didn't think was going to be possible. So while Pepsi has been trying to get the kids excited about their soda, Sprite just dusted off an old campaign logo and campaign slogan, and basically is taking Pepsi's lunch at this point, which is crazy.
It's wild.
Yeah, it is. Dr. Pepper is a real interesting one. The fact that they're a much smaller operation, much tighter as far as the number of options they offer. And I'm not talking flavors, I'm talking number of brands that are underneath the umbrella than what you see in Pepsi and Coca-Cola. And the fact that they've been able to hang on to number 2, I think is admirable. And part of the reason that I think Dr. Pepper has been able to hang on to number 2 is they have done a wonderful job with their specialty flavors. Their specialty flavors are far and away way, in my
Yeah,
opinion,
like the cream
better.
vanilla ones.
Oh,
Vanilla cream,
yeah.
Dr. Pepper.
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
a Nicole Hunt fan favorite.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's amazing how that's changed because I grew up with Britney Spears, Pepsi, all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Now number 4.
Yes. In fact, we're going to just we're going to pull back the curtain to something Jeff and I were talking about a little bit earlier. I'm going to make this as clean as possible. But there's a reason why Pepsi does not have Sierra Mist anymore. Part of it is they needed to rebrand. They needed to relaunch that soda and make it a Sprite competitor. However, it's also because of a young lady who's on OnlyFans. A number of years ago, she took up a different spelling of the name, Sierra Mist. And Pepsi filed a trademark infringement against the young OnlyFans person, saying, listen, you taking off your clothes and getting all nicky is harming our brand. And they were going through legal procedures when the OnlyFans model was realized that Pepsi had let the Sierra Mist trademark expire. She went and renewed it, and now she held the trademark for Sierra Mist, and then she went to Pepsi and said, you know that lawsuit you filed? Let's flip that on its head and go 180 degrees. Now you, with your soda, are harming my nakedness. And so we need to cease and desist. And so once Pepsi saw that, they went, well, this sucks. So they spiked Sierra Mist, and they unveil Starry. So that's the reason, really the reason why you have a brand new version of Sierra Mist on your shelves, despite the formula not changing at all. Yeah, that's the reason.
Iggy texting in cheeseburger,
Yes,
Pepsi, no Coke.
Yes, Pepsi, no Coke. It's fantastic.
All right, they're live in studio.
Yes,
We're going to get
this
to
is great.
them next. We've got Steve and Elyse with the Black Eyed Pea because this Sunday they have taken care of a very big problem for you, which is how do you cook for the woman that may be cooking all of the great meals in your life? You know you're not going to live up to her standard by yourself, so you can go to the Black Eyed Pea and they will take care of it for you. We'll talk with them in just a second. But guys, I want to talk to you. If you're losing your hair and desire to have it back, then Advanced Hair Restoration has the easiest guaranteed solution. Their simple one-day treatment offers life-changing results. I've seen it with my own eyes. Guys, it's not magic, but close to it. They put hair where you need it the most, and bam, it grows. It's actually science. Advanced Hair has it all. Top-rated Dr. Tanya Paul's modern technology, and best of all, you get your own natural hair that begins regrowing the very next day. Advanced Hair even guarantees it will grow for life. So schedule your free consultation now. It's 720-459-HAIR. If you qualify, you'll get $250 off and 250 free hair grafts. Advanced Hair is the winner of Westward's Best of Denver and has changed the lives of tens of thousands of people. So don't wait. Check it out. Check out the before and afters online for yourself, 720-459-HAIR or advancedhair.com. That's advancedhair.com. The team behind the Black Eyed Pea live in studio. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. You know I absolutely love this restaurant because it's one of the few ones where all three generations love it, right?
Yeah.
My parents love it because it's the just pure old school comfort food. I love it because it's healthy food. My kids love it because it's good big portions. So all my little track running kids that got to eat a lot of food, they love this restaurant. So we can go all three. And I am so grateful for their support of this show. They're live in studio, and they've got big Mother's Day operation coming up. I mean, thanks for being here, Steve and Elyse.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Mother's Day, what I love the fact that you all do this because every guy out there is scrambling to figure out what to do for Mother's Day, right? We're not going to cook anywhere near as good as what our mothers can cook. So if you're stuck trying to figure that out, we've got the perfect solution for you. Mother's Day, talk about some of this menu, Elyse.
Well, we have all of the favorites and something to impress your mom with as well, because I'm sure that's necessary.
Yep.
We have grilled salmon, ham carb prime rib, which is just incredible, super tender, salmon and shrimp combo, and then our chicken cordon bleu, which is what we bring back every year for Mother's Day, which is incredible with the Swiss cheese sauce, and it's wonderful.
That's hand-battered boneless chicken breast topped with shaved ham and Swiss cheese. Bill, I'm not even going to make it till lunch. I'm going to get out of here and go get some of this food right now. That sounds wonderful. Talk about the ingredients you guys put into this.
Well, the chicken cordon bleu typically is stuffed. Ours is layered. So it's our fried chicken with the shaved ham, like it says, melted Swiss cheese, but we also do a Swiss cheese sauce that it sits on. And it's yummy. Yeah, we came up with that recipe, I think, 10 years ago, and every Mother's Day.
And is this only on Mother's Day?
It is.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Oh, so you gotta make it a priority to get there to get this nice chicken cordon bleu. Talk about the salmon and shrimp combo as well.
Well, the salmon is our Norwegian salmon, which in my opinion is the best that you can get. And then it comes with either grilled or fried shrimp. And then this is an all-inclusive, so you get the dessert as well. And it's a good deal for mothers. And we think that when you're taking your mom out, let her order whatever she wants. So we have some different items on here. We're hoping that they'll hey, Mom, splurge.
And all the standards will be there, the great salads you guys provide, the meatloaves, all that good stuff.
Yeah, and everybody can order off this menu. It's not just for moms. No. And Mother's Day is our second largest, busiest day of the year. It used to be our first, and then about 7 years ago, Thanksgiving took over as number one, just because of the limited amount of restaurants that are open Thanksgiving. But that, by far, is our busiest day.
Well, what I love about the Black Eyed Pea is it's this American comfort food, right? But really good quality ingredients. So it's home-style cooking.
Yeah, we make everything from scratch. Our gravies. For the cooks out there, they know about roux and slurries. It's real cooking when you go into a Black Eyed Pea, and that when we get new cooks, that's the hardest part sometimes because they come from restaurants where they open up a bag and heat it up in a microwave or whatever. But all of our soups are made daily. Mashed potatoes are made every hour on the hour. Real mashed potatoes with real ingredients. Nothing packaged. Our rolls that we make, cornbread, you name it. There's really nothing that comes in pre-prepared for us other than our desserts, which come from Vollmer's.
Yeah. Well, I've seen headlines that fast food's not doing that good right now.
Yeah, McDonald's has posted the worst quarter since COVID started, and I don't know. I'm assuming it's because the $5 meal, they have traffic, but I don't know how you can make money on $5.
I think people are tired of it. I mean, maybe I'm getting into your 40s, and this is what happens when you get into your 40s. You're like, I can't eat that Big Mac anymore. I'm going to be sick for hours afterwards. But I've noticed one that I think people are just kind of tired of the blandness of fast food, and then for whatever reason, it's like $25 when you go through McDonald's right now. When I could swing by and get great food made from scratch, to your point, for about the same price.
Yeah, a real hamburger that's been cooked for you.
Right. Talk about your prices.
Our prices are reasonable. Unfortunately, we had to take like a 50-cent increase this year compared to some restaurants that have done $3 or $4 increases. My clientele just won't tolerate that. But we have anything we just brought out a lunch menu. We haven't had a lunch menu in probably 10 years. And we put 6 items on there for, what is it?
$12.99.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's still plenty of food.
A lunch at the Black Eyed Pea for $12.99.
Yes. Yep.
So you guys are beating fast food at that point.
Absolutely, and it's like you said, it's fresh ingredients. You're full. It doesn't. Our portions have not changed for lunch, so you're getting a great meal and leftovers to go home most of the time, as per usual. Yep.
All right. So when I take the kids to eat there, we get the 1-pound chocolate cake, right? And that thing is so gooey and good. And we all get forks, right? And we all dive in, and the kids just love it. You got some great desserts, including some cobblers.
We do make cobbler in-house.
Yes.
All of our cobblers. But yeah, and then we're introducing another cake, another 1-pound cake. We have the carrot cake, that's 1 pound, the Bavarian chocolate cake, and then
we're bringing in a lemon cake for the summertime, which it's incredible with the raspberry drizzle on top. It's the perfect fresh large cake that you can bring in.
That sounds great. Joining us live in studio, Steve and Elyse from the Black Eyed Pea. Now, they're a lot of fun to follow on social media because you're not just, you're not a chain restaurant in the sense of just some corporation housed in even, far away. You guys run this here. You keep it in Colorado when you go and eat at a Black Eyed Pea. But you guys have had like car shows. You guys do a lot of fun things in the community.
Yeah. We do a car show at our Castle Rock location once a month. It's the third Saturday of the month. And then we've done a couple motorcycle rallies, and just we love our people and we love to bring new people in. So we're trying to do that. So we'd love to have you follow us and kind of see us as we grow.
Well, and you're friends with people that work over at Porsche.
Yes, that's always a fun connection. Yes.
Well, tell us about that.
Porsche Colorado Springs, I have my buddy John works over there, and we talk on their podcast pretty often too, which is really fun. So we love having them, and we love watching them. They come from the Morgan Adams races and come down and eat at our breakfast at Castle Rock on the way to a long ride, and we love having those cool cars there.
So you got the car show, you get the motorcycles, all this. Here's something I've noticed going in, because I go to the Parker Black Eyed Pea. Man, that is my place. You got Back the Blue stickers there. And we had Darren Weekly, and just before he was just here talking about law enforcement, what he's doing in Douglas County, all that stuff. It seems like you're a restaurant where your values play into the show, right? Into the restaurant, you're supporting police, you're hosting community events. This isn't just a business for you guys. It's part of an extension of your heart and your life. Talk about that.
It was a big decision to go down that avenue. Obviously, we want everybody coming to our restaurant. But at some point in your life, you have to include what you truly believe into your business and be proud of it.
Seems like staff loves working there. I always have a great time getting to chat with those folks. Talk about your employees, the waiters, the waitresses, the folks that manage these restaurants.
Oh, well, Sig is the GM there. Sig's been with our company. In fact, I started working for him. He was a general manager at our North Glen location. This is back in '91. And then I went on and got promoted, and he went off and started a printing company. And then about 15 years ago, he sold his printing company and wanted to come home. And that's what we always say, coming home. We have managers that will work for us for a long period of time, try somewhere else, but they always end up coming back. Our cooks, we have cooks that have been around 30, 35 years, servers that have been around 30, 35 years. Just incredible. I couldn't run this company, Elyse and I could not do this without the tenure of our managers. And that's including all our assistant managers. I don't think we have anybody who's under 10 years in the management side of it. And most of our cooks are 20 plus years.
Most of the cooks are 20 plus years.
Oh yeah, well, when you're making everything from scratch, it's tough to get a new cook and teach them the basics. So yeah, it's just, my staff is incredible. We could not run our company with 18-year-old managers that have never done this before.
What advice would the two of you give to someone that is starting a business, or has their own small business or even a restaurant that struggles with worker retention, because anybody that has worked even for a cup of coffee in the restaurant industry understands the transitive nature, that someone that is waiting tables, it is just as easy for them to go wait tables down the street at the next restaurant, and the same thing can be held for cooks, especially line cooks. So what is the secret, what's the approach with Black Eyed Pea that you guys have done such a great job with employee retention? What can you teach other small business owners out there?
Well, the biggest thing is you cannot be afraid to roll up your sleeves and get right in there with them. You know, a lot of owners think, okay, I'm an owner now, I don't have to do this. That's not true. When I walk into a restaurant, sometimes the first thing I do is go in the dish room, catch up the dishes, have the manager come back and talk to me there, get on the line and help. If they know you're willing to do the work, they will as well, and keep high standards. When you have a person that doesn't follow what they're supposed to be doing.
Can't believe you just said that. And the reason why is because one of the best restaurant managers I ever worked with was a floor manager at a country club. And so you're thinking country club. And I remember him getting back there and cleaning up the dishes and helping out and scraping off plates and doing some of the dirty work. And this is one of the first big parties I'd ever worked with him. And I'm like, wait, we can take this. We can take care of this. And he said, no, you guys need help. And if I'm not willing to do it, why the heck would you listen to me when I ask you to do it? He said, if I'm not willing to, you shouldn't be willing to either. And I went, wow. At that point, I'd run through a wall for that guy. It didn't matter, because I understood that he was going to be right next to us. So I can't believe that's what came out of your mouth. That's really cool. That's amazing. Nicely done. That is cool.
Steve and Elyse with the Black Eyed Pea. Now, you guys have locations all over the Denver metro area, all along the I-25 corridor. There's absolutely one near you if you're listening to this show. Let's walk through those locations. We've from south to north.
Well, Pueblo.
Yep, we have Pueblo, Colorado Springs, Castle Rock, Parker, Inglewood, Lakewood, Westminster, and North Glen.
Wow. And I think last time you guys were maybe looking at one of Fort Collins,
still
too?
are, yep.
Yep, it's still in attorney's hands over one little paragraph with one word.
Yep.
That's exactly how it works. So Steve and Elyse with the Black Eyed Pea are here previewing their Mother's Day menu, which will open 10:30 a.m. this Sunday. Do they need reservations? Do you guys even do reservations?
We don't.
So you can show up. Now, what I love, you walk into a Black Eyed Pea, you've got every generation there. Young families, older couples, everybody's having a great time. Hand-carved prime rib is on the menu. Let's talk about that.
Well, it's slow cooked, just like you would do at home. Yeah. We season it up the night before. Well, there's several prime ribs, and then we slow cook it just the way you're supposed to. If you're fast cooking, it's no longer prime rib. Prime rib is actually a ribeye roast. For people that don't quite. So when you're going to the grocery store to make your own, you can't go to the butcher and say, I want prime rib. That's just a process of cooking that roast. So you can either cut it up and make ribeye steaks, or you can roast it slowly, and that's called the process of prime rib. And the prime doesn't dictate the grade. As you know, there's select and choice and prime. That has nothing. The prime word is the process of cooking it. So you can get a choice if you don't want to pay more. Obviously, prime beef is a lot more expensive than choice, which is a lot more expensive than select.
Yeah. Wow. Now you guys are offering drinks too. Mimosas for Mom.
Mimosas and wine, absolutely. Because that's what we need at the end of the day.
So this will be one of your, as you mentioned, your second busiest day. So people should probably get there pretty early, right? Kick it off.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
yes.
absolutely.
Yeah, we started doing 10:30 just because we didn't want the doors slamming open at 11. We could start, families, bigger families can get in, because it's a lot of big families on Mother's Day. And a lot of times we'll have to, because we're out of big tables, then it'll be, you got a party of 8, well, can we put you in 2 separate booths right next to each other? And some people will be great with that, others. But it's fun. It's a fun, easy day because you're fully staffed, you're prepared for it.
Our managers are more than ready. This is their prime day for them, so they love it.
That's awesome. It's Super Bowl Sunday, literally, for you guys, but it's Mother's Day because you got all the families coming in. So the big game for the Black Eyed Pea is this Sunday, Mother's Day. They kick it off 10:30 in the morning. Listen to this. Grilled salmon, hand-carved prime rib, salmon and shrimp combo, a chicken cordon bleu. They've got desserts, cherry cobbler, peach cobbler served with ice cream. They got mimosas, wine. So with everything you got to do for your mom, and you're getting the gift, and you want to make sure she gets a good meal, and don't try to do it yourself. Have the Black Eyed Pea do that cooking for you, and your mom will love it. The grandkids will love it as well. It's one of those few restaurants where all three generations get to enjoy it. Well, we'll continue our conversation with Stephen, Elyse, the owners of the Black Eyed Pea. If you have any questions, feel free to give us a call at 303-696-1971 or text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line at 720-819-5115. When you think about all those restaurants in Denver closing, you think about all the problems fast food is having, I think you're learning why the Black Eyed Pea is so successful. It's the people. It's the leadership. It's their values, and it's the quality of their food. That is why they're thriving. Black Eyed Pea, there's sure to be one near you. We'll continue this conversation. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. We're so very grateful for their support. Steve and Elyse with the Black Eyed Pea, 8 locations. There's sure to be one near you. They've got a special Mother's Day menu for you this Sunday, so let them do the cooking. Keep it in Colorado.
Yeah, and let them do the dishes.
Your mother will
too.
love it.
That's a big thing. Let them do the dishes.
Elyse was telling me they're kicking off the whole summer menu. Everything,
Really?
Barbecue, all that stuff is coming up here soon. So, Elyse, tell us all about it.
Yeah, we're bringing back our Colorado cookout menu. So we have all of our barbecue. We have pulled pork, barbecue chicken breasts, and some sausages, which are we get them from Paladori, which is also a Colorado company. We love to support them, and they support us. And we have a couple new items on here. So we're going to do a barbecue sausage mac and cheese, which our mac and cheese is incredible, and adding our kielbasa sausage
Hold on.
on there.
Barbecue sausage mac and cheese. You
can't go
killing
wrong.
me. Oh my gosh. Yeah, please continue to describe it.
Yep. So we got our incredible mac and cheese covered with our andouille sausage that we grill and slice up, and then a drizzle of barbecue sauce and green onions on top, which is wonderful.
Ooh, that's nice.
And then a red bean sausage cornbread. So our homemade cornbread with our homemade red beans and rice, but it's just red beans on top, sausage, and then some barbecue sauce on there. So it's just a big old comfort bowl.
Oh, wow.
Then, of
Sounds
course, the barbecue ribs, the brisket.
Speechless.
Yeah, I love the idea of using the sausage to mix with the creaminess and the tanginess of the mac and cheese, but then adding the barbecue over the top. But that's going to be a delicate balance, because the barbecue sauce can easily overpower both the spices in the sausage and the mac and cheese. So I like the fact that that's that drizzle on top, because you're going to get just a little bit of the flavor if you mix it in. Yeah, if you mix it in, it's going to have just a little tiny bit. It's like when you have to find the right balance of ketchup you put on your hash browns. Too much, and it's just ketchupy potatoes. Not so much fun.
So I got a question, since we got these two in here.
Yeah.
All right. They know the menu.
Yes.
Forwards and backwards. They have tried everything. They have constructed every element of what you could eat at the Black Eyed Pea.
Yes.
So what is it that you order when you go in?
Well, if I'm having a down day, I go to my go-to, which is fried chicken, mashed potatoes, and broccoli rice casserole. That's for when I'm just having a heck of a bad day. But there's times I'll just get turkey and dressing or
Meatloaf.
What I'll do is I'll grill the meatloaf, and then I'll pour green chili on top.
Wait,
which
what?
is our Colorado meatloaf.
I know, it's a twist.
I thought about that. That's, ooh.
Well, I'm not a big fan of brown gravy, even though we make it by scratch, or the tomato sauce that you can put on it. And I thought, I love green chili. Let me give this a try.
And green chili.
That's really smart. That is, because you've got some spicy, you've got some savory in there. You've got, that's like low-key genius. That's really neat because of the mixing of the two flavors. Oh, I'm going to have to try that one.
Guys, we do have a complaint coming in here, and I think it's important for us to address these.
Yes.
Okay, so brace yourself. I'm on a diet, and you guys are killing me.
Nice.
But I want to point that out. Okay, so you would think that with all this good food available, that the folks in here may have a little bit of an issue. No. They are trim and fit, which only goes, like, either you work out a ton, or, this is what I think the real answer is, it's just quality food. It's not processed crap that is going to put on the pounds. Because when you eat that quality, locally sourced food, your body loves it. It's not going to put on the weight. And you guys look great.
Our second most popular entree is our veggie plate.
Yeah.
You can come in 5. You can either do a salad and 4 others, or what. It's our second, and our salads are amazing as well. They're huge. Yeah. You could really eat half and take the other half home, as you've probably seen.
Yep.
But we do have healthy. And I have friends, I'll say, when was the last time you were at a Black Eyed Pea? It's like, well, I'm on a diet. Well, yeah, but we have other things than chicken fried steak, chicken fried chicken. It's like, nope.
The best thing is that if you order the salad or the veggie plate, then that means you've saved just enough calories to get the chocolate cake.
Yes, sir.
Just saying.
Exactly.
I'm just saying balance.
All right, so we didn't hear from Elyse yet. Elyse, the secret menu that you love, the item.
That's hard. So I'm on low carb right now, and so I do either the Fiesta chicken salad or it's our Southwest chicken wrap, and then a baked sweet potato with nothing in it. Both are delicious, but if, like we're talking about a sad day, our chicken tenders, broccoli rice casserole, and cinnamon apples. And I've had that. He used to bring it home to me when I was little and had a bad day. And it is now my daughter's favorite thing to eat, and now mine on a sad day. And it's just the best comfort food. It makes you happy.
I think I picked up that you both love the broccoli rice casserole.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's unique.
Your eyes got so big.
So before I started working at Black Eyed Pea, my sister used to eat at the one in Fort Collins, and she talked about this broccoli rice casserole. It's like, okay, no, it's that incredible.
Wow. Well, that's Steve and Elyse from the Black Eyed Pea. This Sunday, go to and visit the Black Eyed Pea near you. There's 8 locations. Again, let's give them from bottom of the state on up.
Alrighty, so we have Pueblo Springs, Colorado Springs, Castle Rock, Parker, Inglewood, Lakewood, Westminster, and North Glen.
There's sure to be one near you. It opens at 10:30. Mimosas for Mom. They have a great menu option available for her, and I'll say it again. All 3 generations love this restaurant. You can't find stuff like that. Typically, if you go to a fancy restaurant, they don't have good kids stuff. Maybe if it's a restaurant that the kids like, the parents don't like it. This is one where you get all 3, grandma and grandpa, your generation, then the kids, all there. It kicks off 10:30, and importantly, you're supporting a local Colorado business.
Yeah,
which matters a lot.
And all of our listeners, you know what you did to Mom when you were growing up, all the stress you gave her. Give back a little bit. Give Mom something nice this weekend. You don't have to worry about cooking, which is the best part. You're not doing the dishes, and you get a wonderful home-cooked meal with Black Eyed Pea. It's fantastic. Yeah, go there this Mother's Day. Absolutely.
Keep it in Colorado with the Black Eyed Pea. Steve and Elyse, thanks for joining the Jeff and Bill Show.
Yes, really appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it.
Well, we had an absolutely wild show. If you missed any of it, go to 710knus.com to download the podcast. You can hear from the DEA. You can hear from the Douglas County Sheriff, all there, including Colorado House Republicans. You're listening to Jeff and Bill.
KNUS.